PHWR के निर्माण का बीड़ा उठाया है। इन सभी गतिविधियों में इस विधेयक से सहायता मिलेगी। महोदय, जैसा कि हम सभी जानते हैं, डॉक्टर होमी भाभा के द्वारा परमाणु ऊर्जा की शुरुआत की गई। कई आशंकाओं के कारण देश के परमाणु विस्तार में प्रतिबंध भी लगा, लेकिन मजबूत सरकार ने सारी चुनौतियों को सामना किया। महोदय, आज हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी और हमारे बिहार के माननीय मुख्यमंत्री श्री नीतीश कुमार जी के मजबूत नेतृत्व में सरकार परमाणु ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में अनेकों उपलब्धियां हासिल करने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ रही है। 2 दशकों में 10 नए न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स का काम प्रगति पर है, जिससे न्यूक्लियर पावर जनरेशन 10 गुना बढ़ जाएगा। महोदय, वर्तमान विधेयक के चैप्टर 2 में ग्रांट ऑफ लाइसेंस एंड सेफ्टी ऑथराइजेशन की बात की गई है। सेक्शन 3 के सब सेक्शन 1 to 5 में सेफ्टी आदि की बात की गई है। मेरा यह सुझाव है कि यह फ्यूल को सेफ्टी स्टोर करने के लिए राज्य सरकार की भी सहायता लेनी चाहिए। न्यूक्लियर फैसिलिटी के लिए अधिकतम वाटर यूज होगा, इसके लिए भी सस्टेनेबिलिटी को ध्यान में रखते हुए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से ओब्लिगेटरी सलाह मशविरा किया जा सकता है। महोदय, इस चैप्टर 2 का सेक्शन 4 रेडियो एक्टिव सब्सटेंस की रेगुलेशन और रेडिएशन जनरेटिंग इक्विपमेंट की भी बात करता है। इसमें कहा गया है कि सेफ्टी ऑथराइजेशन बोर्ड से लेनी है। इसमें मेरा अनुरोध है कि लाइसेंस इशू करने की प्रक्रिया उच्च कोटि की होनी चाहिए। रेडियोलॉजिकल इमरजेंसी पड़ने पर तत्काल केंद्र सरकार एवं राज्य सरकार से मदद मिलनी चाहिए। स्टोरेज वाली जगह सुरक्षित एवं हार्मलेस होनी चाहिए। महोदय, सेक्शन 6 में एप्लीकेशन ऑफ लाइसेंस और सेक्शन 7 में लाइसेंस ग्रांट और सुरक्षा की बात की गई है। इसमें मेरा यह कहना है कि रेडियो एक्टिव वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, जो कि एक महत्वपूर्ण पहलू है और हेल्थ से डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड है, इसके मैनेजमेंट पर विशेष ध्यान का प्रस्ताव रखना जरूरी है। इसके मैनेजमेंट पर विशेष ध्यान का प्रस्ताव रखना जरूरी है। अतः मेरा यह मानना है कि इस विधेयक के पास होने से इन सभी समस्याओं का समाधान होगा। महोदय, यूनाइटेड नेशंस के सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स में भारत ने काफ़ी हद तक उद्देश्य को हासिल कर लिए हैं। इसके अनुसार एनर्जी सेक्टर में अपने देश को 2070 तक नेट जीरो कार्बन इमिशन के लक्ष्य को हासिल करना है। वर्तमान विधेयक इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी के मानकों को भी अनुरूपता को सुनिश्चित करेगा। बजट 2025-26 में भी परमाणु मिशन की शुरुआत की गई, जिसके लिए 20,000 करोड़ रुपए निर्धारित किए गए, ताकि वर्ष 2033 तक कम से कम 5 स्वदेशी स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर विकसित की जा सके। महोदय, वर्तमान विधेयक का चैप्टर 1 में ड्यूटीज और लायबिलिटी की बात कही गई है। इस चैप्टर के सेक्शन 10 में सेफ्टी, सिक्योरिटी और सेफगार्ड्स के लिए प्राइम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फैक्ट्री मालिक, एम्प्लॉयर और माइंस के मालिक आदि लोगों की होगी। इसमें मेरा यह कहना है कि जो भी रिपोर्ट्स या रिटर्न्स केंद्र सरकार की जानकारी के लिए भेजी जाए, उस पर एक्सपर्ट लोगों से ही विचार विमर्श किया जाना चाहिए। महोदय, सेक्शन 11 में ऑपरेटर ऑफ न्यूक्लियर इंस्टॉलेशन करने वाले की जिम्मेदारी होगी। यदि कोई भी न्यूक्लियर इंसिडेंट्स न्यूक्लियर डैमेज होती है, इसलिए हमें यह भी ध्यान रखना होगा कि न्यूक्लियर इंसिडेंट्स की किसी भी हालत में न्यूक्लियर डैमेज न हो। वर्तमान विधेयक के सेक्शन 13 में मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ऑफ लायबिलिटीज 300 मिलियन रखी गई है। महोदय, मेरा यह सुझाव होगा कि इसको बढ़ाकर 4 से 5 मिलियन किया जा सकता है, तो बुरे वक्त में यह सहायता काफ़ी उचित साबित होगा। महोदय, इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं इस बिल का समर्थन करते हुए अपनी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
माननीय सदस्य श्री कृष्णा प्रसाद तेनेती जी।
Honorable Chairman, sir, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity on speaking such a wonderful and very, very important and watershed bill for this year 2025. Dear sir, I rise today on behalf of my party and our honorable leader, Honorable Chief Minister Shri Nara Chandrababu Naidu ji, to express the support for the sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India, in short, Shanti Bill 2025. The very name, sir, of this bill reflects our nation's resolve to harness nuclear energy responsibly and strategically for national development and long-term sustainability in line with the aim of an Atmanirbhar Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Honorable Speaker, sir, our country's journey in atomic energy is deeply rooted in scientific temperament and national foresight. Dr. Homi J. Bhabha, the architect of India's nuclear program, viewed atomic energy as a driver of development and self-reliance. His vision was complemented by the defense developments under Shri Babu Jagjivan Ramji, whose political resolve as defense minister showcased India's nuclear capabilities on the international stage with Smiling Buddha in 1974, thereby aligning scientific advancement with national security and sovereignty. Honorable Chairperson, sir, Dr. Homi J. Babaji has envisioned Atmanirbhar Bharat on 3 stages. We started by talking about uranium, and from uranium after 2 stages to thorium, because I want the House to understand India has 25% of the global reserves of thorium in our country. Had it not been for the NDA government and the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, we couldn't have come to the 3rd stage. We paused for several years, nearly 50 years in between. We didn't go forward. So now we have come after the 2nd stage, from 2015 amendments which sped up development in nuclear energy to the historic entry into phase 2 of India's nuclear plan in 2024, wherein our Prime Minister witnessed the commencement of core loading at in your own stage in India's first indigenous fast breeder reactor at Kalpa. I will come to you, sir. I will come to you. Please recollect the core loading which happened in your own stage in the India's first indigenous fast breeder reactor at Kalpakam in Tamil Nadu. Is it a fact? Honorable Chairperson, sir, globally speaking, where are we? Countries like United States of America, France, Slovakia, European Union countries, and Japan generate and consume a substantial share of their electricity from nuclear power, exceeding 50% of total electricity generation. Whereas in India, we are only at 3%. We have a long way to go. We should develop an ecosystem. We are on that path. We are on the way thanks to the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji. And this bill facilitates greater investment, innovation and efficiency while maintaining sovereign control. I repeat, this bill facilitates greater investment, innovation and efficiency while maintaining sovereign control. It enhances India's ability to attract long-term foreign investment in nuclear infrastructure, reactor components and allied technologies. This roadmap will help us to scale up to 100 gigawatts by 2047. And again, I want the House to recall, today we are only at 8 gigawatts as compared to 98.7 gigawatts of America already. Now, there was a question raised, my friend has gone out, Mr. Manish Tiwari ji, about the foreign investment or the private sector role, and also about the accountability with respect to the supplier versus operator. Let me explain to you, to the House and to the people of my country, my people in my constituency, through you, sir. If you look at in America, the private sector companies, Constellation Energy, their nuclear capacity is 10.7 gigawatts in the private sector. Duke Energy, 10.7 gigawatts, whereas my country today is still at 8 gigawatts. Vistra Corporation, 6.4 gigawatts in USA. Tennessee Valley Authority, 8.3 gigawatts. Next energy, extra energy is 6.2 gigawatts. I can go on. I have a very long list of private sector, and this is the role that private sector companies, while following all security, while following the security protocols in America, are producing, each company is producing as much as my entire country is producing. Sir, should not my country grow? Should not my country produce more? And we are on that path. We should do that. And sir, when we are marching ahead, there are several people who will comment, but we should not look at them. We should march ahead. Sir, Honorable Chairperson, sir, nuclear energy offers three decisive advantages to us. First, it provides reliable baseload power for more than 60 years. Second, it contributes significantly to carbon reduction. Third, a robust nuclear ecosystem catalyzes high-end manufacturing, research, and skilled employment. I would like to emphasize on this word, skilled employment. I'll come to it again, sir. Honorable Chairperson, sir, I wholeheartedly welcome and support the emphasis this bill places on research, development, and innovation, especially in regards to using nuclear energy for research into next generation technologies focused on healthcare and agriculture. Clause 9 of the bill promotes research, development, design, and innovation in matters related to nuclear energy and radiation for peaceful purposes, while Clause 38 allows for patents in for the same. This is in line with the government support for more than 15,000 crores for research, development, and innovation, further spurring the growth of scientific temper and research in our country. Finally, sir, with respect to the liability and accountability, my observation is, all of us are here can recall, the then Congress government of the 1980s, under incompetence in handling the Bhopal gas disaster, the world's worst industrial disaster, which led to generations of thousands of families suffering while those responsible for the disaster were allowed to fly out of the country. Exactly from this point of view, today we are now talking about this great bill where the entire onus is on the operator. No operator can run away from this country, and that is, he has to literally take care of all this. So therefore, right from the day one, from the day of supplies itself, the operator will have to be very, very careful, not only from installation of the plant, but also to the operation and the process of the entire process of generating power. Finally, sir, my final suggestion is, I would like to make a request to you, sir, through the Honorable Minister and to the government. We should also consider launching skill development initiatives and infrastructure to train our youth and give them the proper tools to benefit from us opening our doors of nuclear energy to the international markets. Sir, you may recall when the IT bubble came into our country in 1990s, because we have trained our youth much in advance. We're also now talking about cloud. Because we are training our youth much in advance, not only we are taking care of the requirements in our country, but we are also sending our youth all over the world, all over the globe to take care of this industry, sir. So therefore, my request is, while BARC and NPCIL operate training schools, fellowships, and retraining schemes for engineers, scientists, and technicians, we must boost their efforts by upgrading and expanding the existing skill development programs of public infrastructure. Our youth should be trained to contribute globally in this industry also. In this spirit, sir, I would like to propose establishing a center of excellence in nuclear energy research and skilling in my home state, Andhra Pradesh, and new training programs and skill centers across our country, especially in my constituency, Bapatla, sir. Finally, in conclusion, sir, Dr. J. Babaji once famously said, I believe in excellence. It is not enough to be good. We must be the best. Our youth should be the best. Inspired by this spirit and encouraged by our NDA government's strong track record under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji over the last decade, I stand in support of this bill and our vision for Atmanirbhar Vikasit Bharat and Swarnandhra Pradesh. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, honorable member. माननीय सदस्य श्रीमती सुप्रिया सुले जी.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to speak on the sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy of transforming India bill, sir. Sir, I would like to quote Dr. Homi Bhabha ji. No power is costlier than no power. So I appreciate the efforts of the Honorable Minister to bring in this bill today, because I think we all need to evolve with time, change with time, policies have to change with time. But I'm not sure whether the approach of this bill is what we expected from this government. Well, like my learned friend Manish Tiwari ji said, I would like today, when we are talking about nuclear energy, the forefathers who have really contributed in the last 7-8 decades of India's growth story, starting from Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, who actually sowed the seed of this new India that we all live in today. Dr. Homi Bhabha, Vikram Sarabhai, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, and I wish my learned friend Krishna Teni ji, in his speech, he talked about the thorium changes that he wants. Yes, this government has contributed, but there are thousands and thousands of scientists, and I would like to put it on record, it was Dr. Anil Kakodkar who actually thought of moving from uranium to thorium. He is one of the tallest leaders as a scientist in India who has first thought of this idea, and now the government is taking it forward. I appreciate the efforts, but I think we must put it on record that yes, the government does it, but the real man behind this entire technology change is Dr. Anil Kakodkar. Sir, and now something else that India should be very proud of, and I'd like to put it on record, that recently in October, Professor Sunil Gupta was elected the President of International Union of Pure and Applied Physics during the 33rd Assembly held in China for a 3-year term, where this was the only job in the last 70 years which Homi Bhabha, Dr. Homi Bhabha got it, and this is the first time that we should all be proud that Professor Sunil Gupta, a proud Indian today, leads the global change in this nuclear power. So it's something very big for India, I think. In the Atomic Energy Act 1962 and the Civil Liability Nuclear Damage Act 2020, the amendment that has been proposed by this government. So I want to ask 2 questions to the Honourable Minister, since he's here, and my learned friend Shashank ji is also here, who is very, very good technically. I would like to seek 2 clarifications from him about this bill. In his speech, he said that he doesn't want monopolies. So I like that thought, that there should be no monopoly. But I would with full humility say, who is this monopoly you're talking about? It's the nuclear power, the NPCLI, which is the Nuclear Power Corporation of India, who had a monopoly, which is one of our PSUs, which has always been in profit. You want Indigo to have a monopoly and hold this country for ransom, but for a PSU like Nuclear Corporation of India, there is no sympathy in this government. The government must clarify when your lead speaker says that, oh, we don't want monopolies. So when it's private, I'm not against privatization at all. Let me put it on the record. We are a very modern party. Mr. Pawar has always talked about liberalization. So let me put it on record. But please do not hold up PSUs who have built this nation and say they are monopolies. They are not the monopolies. It's the oligarchs who are the monopolies, not the government of India in the last 70 years who's been a monopoly. Another thing that he mentioned, which is very important, we need to put it on record, since you want private players to invest in this company, it's very important to clarify. He said R&D will remain with government. Will R&D only remain with government? That needs to be clarified, because it came from the Treasury bench that R&D will remain. So I seek a clarification from the Honourable Minister that it's very important that when a Treasury bench says that it will remain, it's very, very alarming to hear that. The other few issues which need to know, that NPCIL, the Nuclear Power Corporation of India, has done outstanding work in this country. They started the fleet mode. We've had amazing reactors that this government has built over the last 7 decades. So every government has contributed to this growth story of nuclear power. But I would like to ask, what is the future that the government plans? Because Dr. Kakodkar proposed uranium to thorium. Mr. From Chandra Babuji's party, he was talking about uranium to thorium. I appreciate what you said, sir. But what is the plan this government has specifically made? Because this whole fuel price, why are we looking for this energy mix to bring the cost down? Now, we have a lot of thorium in this country. And one biggest asset that the thorium has is it is proliferation resistant. So if it is resistant, then are we going to promote it is a clarification, because all the people who you want to invest, we need to know, because he was talking about only American corporations when he was taking names. I mean, I'm a little worried after hearing that. I'm not against any country. Anybody who invests for the growth of India, we must, with changing times, the world has become flat, sir. So I would like to say that all those American corporations' names were quoted. So I'm little scared and worried that Professor Roy said maybe Indians are going to benefit, but after hearing an ally speech was only Americans benefited. I don't mind as long as Indians are benefited, but I hope India benefits. We don't mind foreign companies benefiting, but we must be very clear about that. So another case is, I would like to highlight, sir, 2-3 very small points. I would like to clarify, because Jaitapur is in you spoke about Tamil Nadu, the growth in, we should compliment the Tamil Nadu government for all the work they have done in nuclear with the government of India. But Jaitapur is a project which came in my state, sir. Jaitapur is a project which, Jaitapur nuclear power project, which still, you have also been in power, we've started it. But in the last 11 years, somehow this government has not been able to take it forward. So if you're looking at growth story, what about Jaitapur and how are you going to do it? So talking about office, I would like to give one small point, since I will just make two very short, I won't repeat any other points. Sir, when you talked about the right to recourse, about suppliers' accountability, I would like to say the supplier liability. The supplier is as guilty if there is a crisis. It cannot be a supplier immunity. And I would like to quote Sushma ji and Arun ji. With great respect, I would like to quote Arun ji's statement. Well, he had also said the same thing, so I want to remind this government about what Sushma ji and Arun ji said. It was in 2010. He was the LOP in Rajya Sabha, and Arun ji had said that in the Supplier Immunity Act, he fought to remove the word and to ensure suppliers cannot escape the law. Okay. My point is that immunity, so much material goes into this. So please don't do it for us, but at least do it for what this party stands for, because your tallest leaders have been Sushma ji and Arun ji, who have actually brought you to power. So please don't pack that. One last two small points are this capping of financial liability of operators. How can you put a cap of 3,000? It is 3,000 crores, sir. It's a request for you, because I don't want anything to happen, but if anything happens, how will you cap it at 3,000 crores? I think that's how will you calculate it at 3,000 crores? How have you come to this magic number is my question to the Honorable Minister. Talking about the autonomy of the regulator has to be very, very strong. You are bringing in safety measures. And
please,
I will talk about two very small points which nobody else has made, sir. Just very small. Now, decommissioning liabilities. These are very two small points nobody else has said, sir. Decommissioning of liabilities. I hope every investor comes and does well in this country. But if we ever have to decommission a plant, sir, what is the safety that you have put into this bill? Because if a private player comes, when NPCIL does decommissioning, they do an extraordinarily good job. What is the guarantee that a private player will be as careful? Because the toxic cleanup is very, very critical. And sir, in RTI, last 30 seconds, sir, in RTI, concerns regarding transparency in the bill, clause 39, does not allow RTI questions in this bill partially. I understand. If it is of national security, please don't reply to us. But if there are private players, where is the question of national security? So this RTI point, sir, we have a right to information. You say that it's a transparent and open government. So what is there to hide in this government? आप जवाब दे सकते हैं ना, खोल के जवाब दीजिए, आकर छुपाने के लिए कुछ नहीं. So I request this government that whatever you are bringing in, please, I consider it's a very important bill. I understand it's in the interest of larger interest of India. I recommend that please send it to the JPC. Let's deliberate more, think about it, and bring in a strong bill in a time-bound manner. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Arvind Sawanji.
Oh, that's okay.
Huh?
Thank you, Chairman, sir.
Oh, you're speaking immediately.
The Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of the Nuclear Energy and Transformation India Bill. I would like to express my views on it, particularly when you say that in the beginning itself, whereas India is having achieved self-reliant capability in production and use of nuclear energy, recognizes the potential it offers towards rapidly meeting the ever-increasing energy needs of the country to further research and development. The half portion is correct. But when we have achieved it, why we are in such a hurry to grant permissions to all private sectors who are here? Number of people must have spoken about it. I will just point it out, certain things which are to be taken into consideration, because the bill, the Shanti bill penalizes the operators in case of a nuclear accident and asking them to compensate on the basis of the size of the plant operated. It's really a surprising one. How can you relate the size of the operation with the damage?
Exactly.
There is really, we have experienced what has happened in Bhopal, Union Carbide, how they escaped from all those things. They could not be penalized till date. And really here also some provisions are there, which I am going to point it out to you, sir. Particularly, I'll go directly because I know the time, you won't permit me a lot of time, but then I'll go to that. What is required and what is missing in here? Dilution of a liability and accountability. Removal of a supplier liability means what exactly? Victims may not be fully compensated. Faulty suppliers may escape responsibility. Risk is shifted for corporation to citizens of the state. Safety risk with private operators. Nuclear power is not an ordinary commercial activity. Profit-driven operators may compromise on safety unless oversight is extremely strong. Low compensation ceiling. Then the regularity independence question. Is the nuclear regulator truly independent from operators and the government? Without autonomy, safety enforcement may weaken. Public consent and federal concern. Sir, we are facing in Maharashtra, Jaitapur, you know it. The concern of the public, the consent of the public is opposing it, and still we are forcing them. And that is what we need is that the fisherman community is really having, if they are having a fear about it, what is about the tomorrow, what is about the fate of their life. If the water which enters into the sea has a very high temperature, and then naturally the temperature of the water is going to increase. And if the temperature of the water increases, it is going to reflect on the production of the fish over there, and it is going to reflect on the earnings of the fishermen over there on the coastal line. And that is what a very serious issue, and that is the reason they were opposing it consistently, and therefore public hearings should be given. Nuclear waste is another issue, serious issue. Sir, it has observed, nowadays we are talking about even electrical vehicles. Nobody thinks about the battery. The battery is not perishable, sir. Who's going to do that? That battery is going to create a problem. We cannot perish the battery, and nobody is having a concern. When I was industry minister, I brought it to the notice of the people. Okay, for a pollution-free, we want that the battery-driven vehicles are required, but at the same time, who is going to do that? What is the waste of the battery? Nobody has thought it till date, sir. That is what is very concern over here, and therefore, how does the government ensure that the private operators have maintained the same safety culture as public sector units? The public sector, you see, we are doing a construction at Vadwan port, and the Tarapur reactors are very close to the Vadwan port. Have you ever thought of his safety? A drone can come from the Vadwan Bandar and watch the Tarapur entire reactors over there. So the radiation issue is going to be very serious in that case if the damage takes place, and the compensation of the damage should not be related to this. And finally, sir, two major points which I came across, a rather surprising one. This is the point, sir. The clause 81 bill provides for exclusion of jurisdiction of civil courts. It provides that the civil court shall have a jurisdiction to entertain any suit or proceeding in respect of which the central government provides that no civil court shall have jurisdiction to enter any suit or proceeding in respect of which the central government, the board, the Nuclear Damage Claims Commission or Claims Commissioner is empowered to adjudicate. Under the bill, it further provides that no injunction shall be granted by any court or other authority in respect of any action taken or to be taken in pursuance of any power conferred by or under the bill. Oh my goodness, it is like the Commissioner of the Election Commission. He is being given freedom. He will not be questioned his authority. This is what we are providing here also. 81, 82 again. The bill provides for protection of action taken in good faith. What do you mean by good faith? Who is going to question that good faith? It's a good faith. I have taken action against the good faith. It provides that no suit, prosecution or other legal proceeding shall be against the central government or the board or the council or any person acting on behalf for anything which is in good faith done or intended to be done under the bill or the rules and regulation made thereunder. Both these provisions are very serious, sir. And I am really, that's the reason I think my colleague Supriya ji has also said that why not send the bill to the JPC? Now I to demand that it needs an elaborate discussion in detail. Elaborate discussion is required and therefore it should be sent to the, otherwise, see, I know that the privatization is very loving issue. Very concerned issue because there are industrialists who are very close to it and you feel that once the freedom is given, they'll go on producing the electricity power for the country. This is not so. But the concern is, I have expressed my concern and therefore I once again demand that the bill should be sent to the JPC. One can discuss this elaborately and let us bring a unanimous bill for the country. Thank you so much, sir.
Very good.
Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Dr. Shashi Tharoor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We stand here today at a critical juncture in our nation's history. This Shanti Bill, which is before this House, has the government speaking grandly of harnessing the immense energy released by splitting the atom. Yet it seems to have failed to expend even a fraction of that energy in drafting a bill that is coherent, rigorous, and not full of loopholes. This is full of loopholes. Where the late Pandit Nehruji had laid the foundations for our nuclear program, and Dr. Manmohan Singh ji carried the Indo-US nuclear deal of 2008 across the last mile and lifted India out of isolation into an era of strategic confidence in nuclear power, this bill now confronts us with a disappointing reversal as a vision that once expanded horizons gives way to ambiguity, deepens uncertainty as to whether and where India's nuclear power framework is really headed. I have high regard for the Honourable Minister who is here today, but there are serious errors and omissions that other speakers have already pointed out. We have mastered nuclear fusion and fission, but not apparently legislative precision. The Shanti Bill is a milestone, Mr. Minister, but for the wrong reasons. It is written with exceptions, heavy on discretion, and largely indifferent to public welfare. I am not sure, Mr. Chairman, whether it is a nuclear bill or an unclear bill. Now, before I outline my concerns, I must candidly state that the bill in its current form contains such fundamental structural flaws, as colleagues have pointed out, that it requires comprehensive reworking rather than cosmetic amendments. Ideally, it should have been referred to a committee, a standing committee or a joint parliamentary committee for further consideration. But if we are going to discuss it today, sir, let me enumerate my critical concerns. The very preamble of the bill, which I have here, characterizes nuclear energy as a, quote, clean and abundant source for electricity and hydrogen production. No quarrel there, and I'm not against nuclear energy myself. But this language is dangerously misleading because it completely neglects the serious, massive and irreversible risks from radioactive leaks, long-lived nuclear waste that remains hazardous for millennia, and of course the potential for catastrophic accidents. Moreover, India's usable uranium reserves are finite. While we do possess significant thorium-232, including in my own state of Kerala, and those are significant reserves, and we should work on them, Nonetheless, thorium-based reactors remain decades away from significant deployment. The full life cycle of nuclear fuel, from mining to waste disposal, is neither clean nor sustainable. We must be honest with the people of India about what we are asking them to accept. Now, sir, Section 3(1)(c) and (e) provide that any other company or any person explicitly permitted by the central government is eligible to apply for a license to set up and run nuclear facilities. This effectively amounts to a blanket opening up of the entire nuclear energy sector, from mining to waste management, and this will open it up to a wide range of private actors with indeterminate qualifications. More troubling still, the bill allows for a single composite license for multiple activities across the nuclear fuel cycle. This means one entity could control mining, fuel fabrication, reactor operation, and waste handling. Such concentration of control in any single operator or corporate group heightens systemic risk exponentially rather than containing that risk. When profit becomes the primary motive across the entire chain, safety checks could be compromised at every stage. Such blanket opening up is potentially dangerous, and giving operational control of fissile and other highly radioactive substances to private entities driven by quarterly earnings reports and the bottom line of profit, I'm afraid significantly increases the possibility of nuclear incidents and accidents. The core of the liability reform caps total nuclear incident liability at 300 million special drawing rights, which is approximately today $460 million or 3,900 crores. Let this sink in, honorable members. This cap has not changed in 15 years, despite inflation, despite Fukushima, despite everything we've learned. For context, the Fukushima disaster cleanup costs have already exceeded $182 billion. Okay? That's several hundred times the cap proposed in this bill today in 2021. Chernobyl's total economic impact exceeded $700 billion. Yet we propose to cap liability at less than $500 million? This is grossly inadequate when measured against the potential long-term health, livelihood, and environmental costs of any serious accident. This is not a safety net, Mr. Minister. It is a trapdoor through which victims could fall into decades of legal battles and inadequate compensation. The bill also removes the earlier provisions where the operator had the right to recover compensation from equipment suppliers. This means that even if an accident occurs due to faulty design, substandard parts, or negligent manufacturing by a supplier, that supplier walks away while Indian taxpayers have to bear the entire cost. This might, in cases of serious accidents, strain our economy significantly. We are effectively subsidizing the risk for private international corporations while they retain all their profits. The state underwrites catastrophic risk, Mr. Chairman, while private operators maximize returns. What kind of law is this? Chapter 3, Section 14(1)(a) makes the central government liable where the liability exceeds the amount of liability of an operator. In effect, public funds, our money, taxpayers' money, will compensate for all the damages caused by private facilities. This provision does nothing but further dilute corporate accountability for systemic failures. And Section 42 overrides the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code for nuclear facilities. So nuclear workers are removed from our country's general labor safety framework. Is this fair, Mr. Minister? The bill imposes a 3-year period for filing compensation applications, with extension of the right to claim set for 10 years for property damage, 20 years for personal injury. Now, given the long latency periods of radiation-related diseases, cancers can appear 20, 30 years after exposure, and intergenerational genetic impacts, these limitation periods are frankly shamefully restrictive. They will exclude many genuine victims who develop serious health impacts only after years of exposure. Children exposed to radiation who develop leukemia at the age of 25 will find they have no legal recourse. This is not justice, Mr. Chairman. This is a statute of limitations designed to limit liability, not to compensate victims. इस बिल के हर वादे के पीछे एक कीमत छुपी है मिस्टर मिनिस्टर, और अक्सर ये कीमत वही चुकाता है जिसका फैसलों में कोई हिस्सा नहीं होता। पर उन वादों की कीमत तुम क्या जानो सरकार, यही मेरी चिंता है। Here perhaps is the most egregious provision of all. Negligence by an operator or person is recognized as a cognizable offense, but only a person duly authorized by the central government or the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board can file a complaint. Let me stress this, sir. This means that if a nuclear facility operator is criminally negligent, affected communities cannot file a complaint. Civil society organizations cannot file a complaint. Even state governments cannot directly initiate criminal proceedings against the operator. This effectively excludes those most affected from seeking justice and concentrates gatekeeping power with the very institutions that have failed in prior oversight. By limiting judicial recourse and routing both civil and criminal actions. No, sir, I'm barely halfway through.
You have taken 10 minutes.
No, sir, I have been given enough time. You give me 5 minutes more. And criminal actions through central authorities, the bill restricts victims' access to ordinary courts and their fundamental right to seek effective remedies. For an ultra-hazardous activity that can devastate entire regions, such procedural barriers perpetuate a culture of impunity. Then Chapter 4, sir, on the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, essentially retains a regulator controlled by the central government. The same government aggressively promoting nuclear expansion and its agencies, rather than creating a truly independent, multi-stakeholder authority that will be insulated from political and corporate influence. Sir, I can go ideally into clause-by-clause detail, but since you've already told me my time is running out, let me just sum up very simply. The entire regulatory arrangement is an inside job with little or no room for Indian civil society or even meaningful parliamentary oversight. Instead of clearing the fog around nuclear regulation, this arrangement thickens the fog. So Chapter 6, Section 44, grants perhaps the most dangerous power in the entire bill, as it highlights the excessive executive discretion and exemptions of this bill. It allows the central government to exempt any plant from the requirements of license or liability if, quote, the risk involved is insignificant, unquote. The term insignificant risk is not defined anywhere, is left entirely to the executive. This provision essentially negates the entire framework of the bill, sir. It creates a backdoor through which any facility can escape oversight if the government deems it convenient.
Your point is
sir, give me 3 minutes. This kind of broad subjective exemption power undermines the very safeguards the legislation claims to establish. It will provide laxity in due diligence in a hugely critical sector. And private players will lobby for exemptions to engage in profiteering at the expense of public safety. We cannot justify this under any democratic framework. Multiple sections are granting sweeping powers on vague grounds. The bill lacks enforceable public participation mechanisms, no mandatory public hearings before licensing, no environmental impact assessment disclosure periods, no community consent mechanisms, no regular public reporting of safety inspections or radiation monitoring, no mandatory tabling in Parliament.
Kunalji, you have given 7 names.
Sir.
From your party, you have given 7 names. That's why I am requesting.
Sir, I'll conclude in 2.5 3 minutes. Sir, मैं जो डिटेल बोल रहा हूँ सर सब कुछ जानना चाहिए. ये तो रिकॉर्ड में आना चाहिए सर.
But 7.
And finally, sir, no mandatory tabling in Parliament of incident reports, internal or independent inquiry findings, and periodic safety reviews. In other words, you're excluding the very people whose lives and livelihoods are at stake. And the past controversies referred to by other speakers at Jaitapur, Kudamkulam, Gorakhpur, demonstrate what happens when communities feel excluded from decisions affecting their safety. This bill risks repeating those conflicts, undermining capacity expansion targets through local resistance and litigation. 2 more points, sir. Section 34B requires licenses, 35B, I beg your pardon, reserves spent fuel management for the central government, but again provides minimal implementation detail. When multiple private operators are generating significant spent fuel, unclear protocols will create operational uncertainty. The bill also lacks climate change provisions despite rising sea levels, extreme weather and water scarcity.
Thank you very much.
And post-Fukushima, sir,
Please.
Japan comprehensively revised site selection for climate resilience. Our bill remains silent on
Your
that.
other
I'll
colleagues
skip my
also,
other
they will
points. Let me give you
participate.
one.
I think so,
Let me
whatever
conclude, sir. Give me 1 minute to conclude. So I've taken up more than a minute
Mr. Harvey,
in pleading for time. Give me time.
There are 7 members of parliament from Congress party.
I'm
so you
skipping
have to
half my
speak.
point, sir.
There is a time constraint. Please kindly conclude. Please kindly conclude.
Sir, before,
Already 15
beyond
minutes.
safety, okay,
Manish,
I won't talk
15
about
minutes
safety
already
anymore,
we
sir.
have given.
Fundamental questions arise about economic wisdom of this bill. Nuclear projects are highly capital intensive with long gestation periods in an era of rapidly falling renewable costs, battery storage costs. We must ask, does 19.3 trillion rupees towards nuclear represent optimal allocation versus
Shankar
accelerated
Lalwani.
renewable deployment, grid modernization or energy sufficiency?
Thank you.
The opportunity cost must be gone into, sir. The Shanti bill represents a dangerous leap into privatized nuclear.
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। मैं एटॉमिक एनर्जी बिल 2025 शक्ति बिल के
We cannot allow the pursuit of capital to override the non-negotiable requirements of public safety, environmental protection and victim justice. The name Shanti means peace, sustainability. Let us ensure that this name is not a cruel irony in the aftermath of a preventable disaster.
I think so.
The promise
You have
of
already more than
transforming
that.
India
What time
ought
has
not
been
to
allotted for you?
conflate
Shri
the
Shankar
risk of
Lalwani.
scarring India.
Please.
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। एटॉमिक एनर्जी बिल 2025 शक्ति बिल का मैं स्वागत करता हूं, वंदन करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। ये ऐतिहासिक बिल है। माननीय मंत्री जी ने अपनी शुरुआत में ही कहा था, आने वाली पीढ़ी याद रखेगी मोदी जी को कि ये बिल वो लाए थे। 2047 के विकसित भारत का जो अभियान है, यह मील का पत्थर साबित होगा। मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में पिछले 11 वर्षों में परमाणु ऊर्जा में 70% की वृद्धि हुई है। न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का उपयोग हमने जैसा पहले भी कहा है कि शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से प्रयोजन के लिए करते हैं तथा विकास के लिए करते हैं। अभी इस क्षेत्र में सिर्फ सरकारी पीयूसी हैं वही काम कर रही है। देश में तेजी से जिस प्रकार से विकास हो रहा है, उस मान से ऊर्जा की खपत को ध्यान में रखते हुए इसे प्राइवेट प्लेयर के लिए भी खोला जा रहा है। इस बिल में भारत की न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने का बिल है और 2070 में जो नेट जीरो कार्बन उत्सर्जन की घोषणा हुई है, उस घोषणा में ये मील का पत्थर साबित होगा। माननीय सभापति महोदय, हम सभी जानते हैं कि वर्तमान में इससे 8.8 गीगावाट न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का उत्पादन होना है और आने वाले 5 वर्ष में ये बढ़कर 23 गीगावाट होने जा रहा है। पर आने वाले विकसित भारत जो 2047 का विकसित भारत संकल्प है मोदी जी का, उसमें आवश्यकता है 100 गीगावाट एनर्जी की और इस लक्ष्य को पूरा करने के लिए मील का पत्थर रहेगा। अभी बिजली का उत्पादन प्रमुखता से कोयले से होता है और हमें मालूम है इसकी सीमाएं हैं कोयले की, और कोयले से कार्बन उत्सर्जन भी ज़्यादा होता है। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के लिए न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी सस्ती, स्वच्छ तथा कम एरिया में ज़्यादा उत्पादन करने, लो कास्ट प्रोडक्शन वाली ये एनर्जी है। तो न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का उपयोग आज हर क्षेत्र में हम देख रहे हैं हो रहा है, चाहे कृषि हो, स्वास्थ्य हो, R&D हो, इंडस्ट्री हो, हर क्षेत्र में इसका उपयोग हो रहा है। जिस तेजी से मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन हो रहा है, डाटा सेंटर बढ़ रहे हैं, AI में काम हो रहा है, EV वाहनों में लगातार बढ़ोतरी हो रही है, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन में काम हो रहा है, डिजिटल इंडिया में काम हो रहा है, इन सब में आने वाले 2040 में बिजली की खपत लगभग डबल से ज़्यादा होने वाली है। आने वाले 2030 में डाटा सेंटर के लिए भी 10 गीगावाट की बिजली की आवश्यकता होगी। इन सबको ध्यान में रखते हुए बिल बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है। इस बिल में डाटा सेंटर के लिए कंपनी को छोटे छोटे न्यूक्लियर पावर सेंटर अपने यहाँ बनाने की सुविधा रहेगी। स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर से दुनिया में भारत डाटा और डिजिटल का हब स्थापित होने जा रहा है। सरकार ने छोटे छोटे मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टरों को R&D के लिए आगामी 5 वर्षों में जो प्रावधान किया है, 20,000 करोड़ का प्रावधान किया है। सभापति महोदय, इस बिल को तैयार कर, ये बिल ऐसे ही तैयार नहीं हुआ है, इस बिल को तैयार करने के लिए पूरी होलिस्टिक अप्रोच अपनाई गई है और इस बिल के लिए अलग अलग मंत्रालयों से कंसर्न भी किया गया है। इस बिल के लिए नीति आयोग, विधि न्याय मंत्रालय, विदेश मंत्रालय और इसके साथ साथ परमाणु ऊर्जा आयोग, विद्युत मंत्रालय तथा अन्य मंत्रालयों से सहमति के बाद ये बिल लाया गया है। इस बिल की लाइसेंस की प्रक्रिया भी पूरी स्पष्ट दी हुई बिल में। सेफ्टी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सेफ्टी के क्या क्या प्रिकॉशन होना चाहिए वो भी इस बिल में बताया गया है, पूरा डिटेल में इस बिल में दिया गया है। मेरे विपक्ष के साथी ने बिल पढ़ा नहीं है। रेगुलेटर बोर्ड भी बनाया जा रहा है जो जिसमें प्रावधान रहेगा हर बात का, और इंस्पेक्शन हो तथा इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो, सभी का इसमें प्रावधान किया गया है। यदि कोई न्यूक्लियर डैमेज होता है तो उसके लिए भी मुआवजा और बीमे की राशि इसमें रखी गई है। माननीय सभापति महोदय, न्यूक्लियर बिल को लेकर हमेशा दो बातें चर्चा में होती है। विपक्षी साथी भी कहते हैं कि इसमें एक रेडिएशन का प्रभाव रहता है और दूसरा वेस्ट का निष्पादन हम कैसे करेंगे। जहाँ तक रेडिएशन की बात करो, जो वैज्ञानिक हमें बता रहे हैं कि रेडिएशन की बात करो, ये रेडिएशन इसमें न्यूक्लियर क्षेत्र में इस पार्लियामेंट से भी कम होता है, ये उन्होंने कहा है। दूसरा, जहाँ तक वेस्ट डिस्पोजल की बात है, वेस्ट डिस्पोजल के लिए उन्होंने कहा है कि वेस्ट डिस्पोजल हम लेंगे और उसमें भी प्रोसेस करेंगे। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी कहते हैं कचरे से कंचन, तो ये उसका जो वेस्ट रहेगा उसमें भी प्रोसेस करके हम कमाएंगे। इस बिल के अंतर्गत परमाणु ऊर्जा नियामक परिषद का भी गठन किया जाएगा। इस परिषद के अधिकार व कर्तव्य इसमें स्पष्ट दिए हुए हैं। माननीय सभापति महोदय, वर्तमान में भारतीय परमाणु बीमा पुल जो परमाणु क्षति के लिए 2010 अधिनियम की तरफ से सिर्फ 1500 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी तय करता है, लेकिन इस बिल में न्यूक्लियर स्टेशन स्थापित करने वालों ऑपरेटरों के लिए विभिन्न लायबिलिटी क्लासिफाइड की गई है। अगर हम बात करें कोई 1200 मेगावाट से अधिक का रिएक्टर बनाता है तो 3000 की लायबिलिटी रहेगी। अगर कोई 500 मेगावाट का रिएक्टर बनाता है तो उसको 1500 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी रहेगी। 250 मेगावाट से अधिक का रिएक्टर कोई बनाता है तो 750 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी रहेगी। 50 मेगावाट से अधिक का अगर कोई रिएक्टर बनाता है तो 300 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी रहेगी, और 50 मेगावाट तक अगर कोई रिएक्टर बनाता है तो 100 करोड़ की लायबिलिटी रहेगी। किसी भी अगर कोई विवाद होता है, उस विवाद को निपटने के लिए, निराकरण के लिए परमाणु न्याय प्राधिकरण का भी इसमें प्रावधान किया गया है, और इसके बाद भी अगर वो संतुष्ट नहीं है तो हाईकोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी जा सकता है। न्यूक्लियर लायबिलिटी फंड का भी इसमें प्रावधान किया गया है, बीमे का भी प्रावधान किया गया है। माननीय सभापति, मुझे पुरानी सरकार में, इनकी सरकार में हमने देखा कि किस प्रकार इस क्षेत्र में दो प्रमुख बाधाएं थी। एक तो पूरा जो ये नियंत्रण था वो सरकार के पास था, और दूसरा प्राइवेट प्लेयर इसमें कहीं नहीं आ रहा है। लेकिन अब इस बिल के प्रावधान में प्राइवेट प्लेयर भी आ सकते हैं। इस बिल में आने से बड़े पैमाने पर परमाणु क्षमता का विस्तार होगा, निजी निवेश आगे आएंगे, सुरक्षित और बेहतर रिएक्टर बनेंगे, स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर बनेंगे जो डाटा सेंटर और एआई के लिए आने वाले समय में आवश्यकता है। भारत इसमें आत्मनिर्भर बनेगा, और जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का संकल्प है नेट जीरो 2070 में, उस लक्ष्य को हम पूरा करेंगे। अंत में सभापति महोदय, ये कहना चाहूँगा कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में स्वच्छ भारत हो रहा है, उज्ज्वल भारत हो रहा है, आयुष्मान भारत हो रहा है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत हो रहा है, स्वदेशी भारत हो रहा है, शक्तिशाली भारत हो रहा है, स्वाभिमानी भारत हो रहा है, विकसित भारत हो रहा है, डिजिटल भारत हो रहा है। अब न्यूक्लियर भारत भी इस बिल के माध्यम से होगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं इस बिल का समर्थन करता हूँ।
बढ़िया।
श्री धैर्यशील माने जी
नहीं है, नहीं बैठे।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। आपने एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर मुझे अपनी बात रखने का मौका दिया है। मैं सर्वप्रथम इस विधेयक के लिए सरकार का अभिनंदन करना चाहूँगा कि ऊर्जा के डिपार्टमेंट में भारत को स्वयंपूर्ण बनाने का एक निर्णय इस देश की सरकार ले रही है, और जिसके माध्यम से न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का एक नया होराइजन अपने देश में आगे बढ़ने के लिए तैयार है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के कुशल नेतृत्व में इस दौड़ में बहुत गति के साथ भारत देश आगे बढ़ रहा है। 2047 में देश को विकसित भारत में अगर परिवर्तित करना है तो ऊर्जा के डिपार्टमेंट में हमें स्वयंपूर्ण होना पड़ेगा। और लाल किले से जो मोदी जी ने भाषण दिया था, इस समय उन्होंने कहा था कि भारत ऊर्जा के डिपार्टमेंट में स्वयंपूर्ण होने के लिए अब पहल करेगा, और उसकी नींव रखने का काम इस माध्यम से हो रहा है। न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का जो चर्चा हो रही है उसकी शुरुआत महाराष्ट्र से हुई थी। डॉक्टर होमी बाबा ने पहली बार ट्रॉम्बे में, पालघर जिले में न्यूक्लियर सेंटर ये शुरू किया। न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर की शुरुआत हुई, और अप्सरा नामक पहला न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर जो देश में शुरुआत हुआ वो महाराष्ट्र से हुआ। महाराष्ट्र ने हमेशा ही वैज्ञानिक दृष्टिकोण और उसको नेतृत्व देने का काम किया है। इसलिए अब जब शांति बिल लाया गया है, इसका नाम भी बहुत रोचक है आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय। अगर आपका सामर्थ्य है तो ही पड़ोसी आपके साथ शांति रखेंगे। आप एक न्यूक्लियर पावर नाम के माध्यम से आप दुनिया के पटल पे जब जाते हो तो 7th बिगेस्ट न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर हमारा देश का है। इसके वजह से आस पड़ोस के देशों की तरफ आप देखो तो उनकी अवस्था क्या है, लेकिन तिरछी नजर से देखने वालों को भी न्यूक्लियर पावर से डरना पड़ता है। और इसका शुरुआत अगर किसी ने की होगी तो श्रद्धेय अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने की, और उनके माध्यम से इस देश को एक नए आयाम पर ले जाने का काम तब टाइम में हुआ। तभी ये कहा जाता था कि न्यूक्लियर पावर की जरूरत भारत को क्या है, लेकिन अटल जी ने अटल निश्चय से ये साबित कर दिया कि आने वाला भविष्य एनर्जी का होने वाला है, और एनर्जी को अगर हम न्यूक्लियर पावर से ले पाए तो निश्चित रूप से जो पारंपरिक ऊर्जा होती थी उससे बचत करते हुए उन्होंने एक नया आयाम रखा। तब भी विपक्ष के लोग कहा करते थे कि भारत न्यूक्लियर की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि आज भारत एक नए ना विपक्ष के लोग तभी नहीं, आज मैं आपसे
आप उनकी बात करें, कृपया बैठे बैठे आप किसी कोई सदस्य बोलिए।
और ये कांग्रेस का तब का कहना था कि न्यूक्लियर पावर की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन अटल जी के विश्वास ने लोगों को के सामने एक उदाहरण रखा, और अमेरिका जैसी देश भी तब इसका विरोध कर रहे थे, लेकिन भारत ने अपना लोहा मनाया, और निश्चित रूप से अटल जी के वजह से आज देश एक नए आयाम पे ऊंचाई पे जा रहा है। मैं कुछ प्रावधान जो यहाँ है न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी के बारे में, वो मैं आपके सामने मद्देनजर रखना चाहूंगा। कुछ क्लॉजेस नए इसमें ऐड किए गए हैं। कड़ा लाइसेंस तंत्र इसमें इस्तेमाल किया गया है, जिसके माध्यम से क्लॉज 3 और 4 के माध्यम से विपक्ष डर फैला रहा है कि प्राइवेट लोग आएंगे तो सुरक्षा खतरे में पड़ जाएगी, लेकिन क्लॉज 3 ये स्पष्ट करता है बिना सरकार के लाइसेंस और सेफ्टी ऑथराइजेशन के कोई भी इसमें काम नहीं कर पाएगा। इसका क्लॉज 3 में प्रावधान किया गया है। इसका फोकस SMRs पर भी है। स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर्स देश में बनने चाहिए, इसके लिए इसकी योजना बनाई जा रही है। ये मोबाइल फोन की तरह छोटे छोटे पोर्टेबल होंगे, जिनके वजह से युवाओं को न्यूक्लियर वैज्ञानिक बनने में एक नया मौका बन जाएगा। क्लॉज 4 की तरह की वजह से रेडियो एक्टिव पदार्थों की सुरक्षा, सिक्योरिटी ऑफ रेडियो एक्टिव मटेरियल के लिए सरकार ने विशेष शक्तियों अपने पास रखी है। संवेदनशील गतिविधियों, सेंसिटिव एक्टिविटीज केवल केंद्र सरकार के नियंत्रण में होगी, यानी इनोवेशन प्राइवेट हो सकता है, लेकिन कंट्रोल यह सरकार का ही रहेगा। निश्चित रूप से सरकार सुरक्षा कवच के रूप से इसमें देख रही है। क्लॉज 14 लायबिलिटी जो है, यह प्रावधान जनता के विश्वास के लिए सबसे जरूरी है। क्लॉज 14 में सरकार जिम्मेदारी ले रही है, परमाणु दुर्घटना अगर कोई हो तो उसकी सारी जिम्मेदारी केंद्र सरकार की होगी। यह निश्चय के साथ सरकार इसके लिए आगे बढ़ रही है। इसके लिए न्यूक्लियर लायबिलिटी फंड भी अलग से बनाया जा रहा है। लोगों को सस्ती बिजली चाहिए सर, और अगर थर्मल एनर्जी हो या अदर रिसोर्सेस है, उससे सस्ती बिजली अगर हमें देनी है तो हमें न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी को यूटिलाइज करना, उसका प्रावधान करना बहुत जरूरी हो गया है। सस्ती बिजली की गारंटी देने के लिए आम आदमी का सवाल यही रहता है। क्लॉज 37 में सरकार ये अधिकार अपने पास रखती है कि परमाणु बिजली के टैरिफ का जो नियंत्रण है वो सरकार ही निश्चित करेगी। इसमें ईंधन की लागत हो, कचरे का प्रबंध, वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट हो का खर्चा हो, जोड़कर इसकी जो लागत है, उसके बाद ईज ऑफ लिविंग के लिए इसका एक हिस्सा निश्चित रूप से सरकार करने का प्रावधान कर रही है। विवाद निवारण और नियामक क्लॉज 54, 57 और स्टैट्यूटरी स्टेटस AERB को तथा एक हमारा रेगुलेटरी AERB केवल एक बोर्ड था, अब इसे कानून के तहत वैज्ञानिक दर्जा स्टैट्यूटरी स्टेटस देने का प्रावधान है, मिल रहा है। वह अब सख्ती से काम कर पाएगा। निश्चित रूप से ये सारे प्रावधान जो बनाए हैं, ये सरकार ने अच्छी
योजना के तहत ये बनाया हुआ है। इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेशन होना चाहिए, लेकिन इकोलॉजिकल डेवलपमेंट होने की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट होने की ज़रूरत है, और जो अदर जो रिसोर्सेज है जिसमें से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनती थी उसका नेगेटिव एनवायरनमेंट पे जो इम्पैक्ट आता था उसको एनालाइज करते हुए न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी को बढ़ावा देने का काम सरकार कर रही है। और 2247 तक 100 न्यूटन मीटर्स का उनका संकल्प है कि ये बढ़कर वहां तक यहां जाना चाहिए। मैं सरकार से ये कुछ मांगे इसके माध्यम से यहां रखना चाहूंगा, और मेरे आखिरी शब्दों में मैं ये मांगे करना चाहूंगा। मैं जिस क्षेत्र से आता हूं वो इचल करंजी, वो टेक्सटाइल का हब है। वहां पे सस्ती बिजली मिलने के लिए मेरे क्षेत्र में इचल करंजी, जिसको मैनचेस्टर कहा जाता है, मेरी मांग है कि इस ऊर्जा से बनने वाली बिजली का विशेष कोटा टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर के लिए अलॉट किया जाए, जिसके माध्यम से कपड़े का उत्पाद बनने में इसका फायदा हो। कैंसर रिसर्च सेंटर सर, इसके माध्यम से उसको भी एम्पावर करने के लिए न्यूक्लियर मेडिसिन एंड कैंसर रिसर्च सेंटर कोल्हापुर में स्थापित किया जाए, कि जिसके माध्यम से मुंबई में जो काम होता है वो अगर कोल्हापुर में हो पाए तो उसका फायदा ग्रामीण इलाके के लोगों को होगा। मैं
धन्यवाद।
टेक्सटाइल के साथ ही निश्चित रूप से शांति बिल का मैं स्वागत करते हुए ये आखिरी पंक्तियां कहना चाहूंगा। ये नया भारत है, नई ऊर्जा से जगमगाएगा, विकास की यात्रा को कोई रोक नहीं पाएगा। यह शांति का बिल दस्तावेज है उस सुनहरे कल का जो 2047 में हमारे देश को विकसित भारत बनाएगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। श्रीमती प्रतिमा मंडल जी। प्रतिमा मंडल जी।
Thank you, Honorable.
You want to speak just now, or either you want to speak later on? Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
You can start.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of All India Trinamool Congress, I rise to speak on the sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India Bill 2000. Sir, mic is not. There is no mic, sir.
You start your
Now it is
speech.
on.
I think so
Now
you
it
will
is
get
on.
automatic.
Sir, on behalf of All India Trinamool Congress, I rise to speak on the sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for energy for transforming India Bill 2025. That means Shanti Bill 2025. Sir, before delving into today's topic, I would like to share something, sir. Sir, Enrico Fermi is widely credited with inventing nuclear power for practical use, creating the world's first artificial nuclear reactor in 1942. So, nuclear energy is a form of energy released from the nucleus, the core of atoms made up of protons and neutrons. This is done by splitting atoms named fission, and which is used in power plants. The primary atoms used in nuclear fission are heavy unstable elements like uranium, plutonium and thorium as a potential fuel, which are bombarded by neutrons to split their nuclei, releasing massive energy in a chain reaction for power or weapons. Sir, these elements are all radioactive elements. So everyone can imagine how sensitive this area is, sir. India currently has 22 operational power reactors across several states. Amongst them, the 5 major plants are Tarapur in Maharashtra, Rawat Bhata, Rajasthan, Kundankulam, Tamil Nadu. Sir, Kundankulam is the largest nuclear power plant in India with a total capacity of 6,000 megawatt from 6 reactors. And number 4 is Kakrapur, Gujarat, Kaiga, Karnataka, sir. Sir, this House today debating a bill that will decide who controls India's nuclear future, who bears the risk, and who pays when things go wrong. So the Shanti Bill does not emerge from a regulatory vacuum. India has governed nuclear energy for over 6 decades. Through the Atomic Energy Act 1962, this bill is therefore not a foundational statute, it is a restructuring statute. My question to the Honorable Minister, what problem is this restructuring actually solving, sir? Sir, in section 3 of the bill allows not only government companies but also private companies, joint venture and even other person notified by the center to build, own and operate nuclear power plants and other nuclear facilities. Sir, privatization could lead to a threat to our national security and safety. How can the ministry ensure of this? Sir, Modi government is handing over our pride. The 70 years of publicly funded research built by Pandit Nehruji, Dr. Homi Bhabha and Bikram Sarabhai, sir. And this is not real competition. It is a crony control. The Modi government is opening the door for a handful of private players to enter the highly sensitive sector. The bill does not create any clear, independent and transparent process for selecting private licensee, nor any strong parliamentary or public scrutiny of such decisions. What we see here is selective privatization profits go to private companies, but control and risk management stay with the government. Here I would like to take a flashback to our history of British Raj in India. Power without responsibility, introduced by after the Battle of Boxer. This system gave the British East India Company control over revenue collection, that means Diwani, and military power. Responsibility without power, the system was designed so the British had power without responsibility, while the Nawab had responsibility but had no real authority, became puppet Nawab. Ultimately, British East India Company ruled over country and looted our wealth. Similarly, this government is now going to execute the same stature of puppet ministry as we are seeing like the civil aviation ministry, sir. Sir, in case of serious accident affecting thousands of people, victims will struggle to get fair compensation because the operator's liability is capped. The rest of the burden falls on the state and ultimately on common citizens through taxes. Sir, most advanced nuclear countries like Canada, like the United States, France have independent regulators with statutory protection. So these regulators can challenge government decisions. They have stable funding and they answer directly to Parliament or Congress. This bill does not meet those standards. It keeps AERB subordinate to the Department of Atomic Energy, which is a conflict of interest that no advanced country accepts, sir.
Kindly conclude.
Conclude, sir, I have given 10 minutes, sir. This bill allows extensive exemption in the name of strategic or insignificant incidents, including discretion not to notify a nuclear incident at all. Transparency is not optional in nuclear governance, it is fundamental. Even judicial oversight is curtailed. Section 81 bar the jurisdiction of civil courts. Appeals are channeled through specialized bodies whose members and procedure are again controlled by the executive. Access to justice become conditional, delayed and distant. So chapter 6 completes the picture of excessive centralization.
There is a time constraint.
Section 32 to 37.
Your party time is allotted for 12 minutes. Already one speaker has taken 6 minutes. You have taken 7 minutes. So please kindly conclude.
No, sir. I have the time. 10 to 12 minutes, sir. Section, and you are, sir, always you are saying so. My time is going now. Don't disturb me, sir. It is a very tough topic. So, section 32 to 37 allow the government to frame national policies, acquire plants and minerals, requisition substances, novate private contracts and even fix nuclear electricity tariff, notwithstanding the Electricity Act 2003. Sir, federalism, sectoral regulators and market mechanisms are brushed aside with a single notwithstanding clause. Sir, states where uranium mining nuclear plants and radioactive facilities are located will bear the environmental and social burden, yet this bill given no meaningful role in licensing decisions, safety oversight, emerging planning or compensation. So states should have a say in deciding whether nuclear facilities are built on their soil. They should receive their compensation if their land is acquired or if there is contamination. So the bill places a duty on operator to ensure occupational safety and health, but it does not strengthen the position to worker to demand safe condition or to report violations without fear or retaliation. Workers in nuclear facilities face unique hazard and radiation exposure, chemical burns and psychological stress, and they deserve strong protection, sir. In the bill, there is no mention about high cost of containment and the disposal of hazardous radioactive waste. The House is being asked to sign a blank check to trust a government that has centralized power, weakened institutions and repeatedly ignored expert advice with a nuclear law that expands its direction while limiting its liability. The bill shifts risk onto ordinary citizens, shields private and foreign suppliers. Everybody is talking about we should take a lessons about the grave incidents, that explosion in Chernobyl, Ukraine, and the Fukushima Daiichi, Japan. But we must not forget about the incidents which happened in the Bhopal.
Honorable Sir, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker.
Last line.
Sir, last line, sir. Sir, during the introduction of 3 bills, including this Shanti bill, when some members of opposition raising their voice, Honorable Parliamentary Affairs Minister suddenly stood up and said, we will pass all the bills. Sir, this kind of arrogance we have.
Honorable Speaker, sir, if this bill is called Shanti bill, then poison can be called Prasadam. That's what the equivalent is. Sir, in this bill, I have a better name for this bill, sir. This bill is actually limited private liability, unlimited public suffering bill, sir. We can call it loose bill. Sir, it doesn't matter how we expand our nuclear energy matters, sir.
10 minutes.
But how much we expand it. Sir, energy policy is not merely a question of megawatts or gigawatts, as you know, sir. It is a question of strategic autonomy, safety, accountability and democratic control. Sir, nuclear energy, unlike any other sector, sits at the intersection of democratic civilian development and national security, sir. Decisions taken in this domain cannot be reversed easily, and hence precisely the reason why this bill demands highest level of parliamentary scrutiny, sir. Sir, as you know very well, there are provisions in this bill which my other friends have also raised, especially the provision of limiting the liability of the private players. Sir, the moral question is, if profit is private, why pain is always public? Sir, here public pays, taxpayer pays, everybody pays, and the liability is capped for the private player. Sir, this liability capping is almost very similar to, sir, if you have a bridge and the bridge fails, then the contractor pays only half the amount or a certain cap, after which then it is taxpayers' money which has to compensate for all that. So, sir, there are major other issues that we have also raised, sir. It's the first time in Indian history this bill allows private companies to own and operate power plants. Sir, nuclear power plants. It opens the doors for joint ventures and foreign companies, so we have to be extremely careful, sir. So the government argues that these changes are necessary to meet India's ambitious nuclear capacity targets. Sir, we are also told that India needs around 100 gigawatts of nuclear power, but that actually deserves careful examination. Sir, Indian nuclear expansion has historically been constrained not by ideology, sir, but by 3 real-world factors: financing, land acquisition and public consent, and international technology denial regimes. Sir, none of these problems are solved just by privatization. Sir, financing challenges can be addressed through sovereign guarantees, green bonds and public investment, as many other countries have done, sir. But public consent requires trust, transparency and credible safety mechanisms.
Trust that is harder to build when you have private players inside, profit-driven private players in this picture. Sir, what this bill does instead is to treat nuclear energy just like any other infrastructure sector, comparable to highways or telecom. Sir, this is a category error. Nuclear energy is not just another market. It involves radioactive materials, long-lived waste, and risks that no insurance market can actually truly price, sir. So energy security cannot be reduced to market efficiency alone. And I talked about the nuclear liability, and capping it to 300 STR is not at all accepted, sir. Around 3,900 crores. Sir, then we should ask this question, why now? As we had already pointed out, there has been tremendous external, strategic and commercial pressures on the government to do this. So in simple terms, sir, the government has sorted out, yielded to these pressures, and especially to some friendly corporate houses. So let me be very clear, sir. India has always been a very strong player in this area, having a very good regulatory mechanism. But right now, this bill has put everything under a big issue. Sir, also we should remember how our indigenous planning, capability planning for nuclear sector has been compromised by this. So the Indian nuclear program is not merely an energy project. It is a scientific and a technological ecosystem painstakingly built over decades through indigenous efforts under conditions of sanction, technological denial, and international isolation. Sir, actually what has happened, we know very well, sir. I don't have to go into the history of how all this came. India's three-stage nuclear program based on pressurized heavy water reactors using natural uranium, followed by fast breeder reactors, and ultimately thorium-based system. This whole ecosystem is now being affected by this particular bill, sir. So now what will happen, sir? One large-scale private participation is allowed, especially with foreign technology partnership. The entire logic of decision-making changes, sir. Private operators accountable primarily to shareholders. They will prefer imported proven reactor designs. All these new technology and systems will be coming, which will actually spoil our long-term planning for the nuclear sector, sir. So at the end of the day, we are going to be dependent on foreign reactor vendors, foreign spare parts, and foreign fuel assurances in a very critical sector, sir. Sir, and I don't have to even tell about the regulatory overstructure. The entire regulatory mechanism is completely compromised. The government controls the appointments, the government controls even the search committee. It is like the government, which is the primary promoter, is also the regulator and also the person who allows justice mechanisms. If there is something which is going wrong, people are not even allowed to file a complaint. Even the players, civil society, or anybody who is affected cannot go and complain about any issue regarding this matter. The government needs to approve who will make a complaint on these matters. I don't really understand what is this logic of putting a restriction on the justice mechanisms as such, sir. In fact, I really don't understand and also my friend Arun Nehru had talked about the effect this bill will have on the pricing of the electricity which comes out of these reactors. So, in fact, I have also seen the government has made a provision in this bill to actually regulate that price of this thing. So, the Honorable Minister will also have to explain why this provision was brought inside this bill of regulating the pricing, where the normal regulators are kept aside and it is a bill. Sir, I just want to conclude by saying, sir, this bill is basically, sir, what we are actually asking is, we are not against energy security, sir. We are not against all this. But the point is, this bill requires scrutiny. This bill requires clause-by-clause reading. So we request the Honorable Government to rewrite the bill with full liability, with proper independent regulation, with open courts and honest disclosure. Sir, no development is worth health issues in this country for its citizens. So my request is, please put the bill to stronger scrutiny for for a committee, or please rewrite the bill again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shri Biren Singh ji.
धन्यवाद सर।
That's why I'm sitting here to just heard you.
मैं सतत दोहन तथा उन्नयन नाभिकीय ऊर्जा द्वारा भारत परिवर्तन विधेयक 2025 के विरोध में अपना वक्तव्य देने के लिए खड़ा हूं। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, यह सरकार निजीकरण के नाम पर देश की हर चीज बेचने पर तुली हुई है। हवाई अड्डे बिक गए, बंदरगाह बिक गए, सार्वजनिक उपक्रम बिक गए। अब इस विधेयक के जरिए परमाणु ऊर्जा जैसे अत्यंत संवेदनशील रणनीतिक क्षेत्र को भी अपने चहेते लोगों के हवाले करना चाहती है। यह नीति नीलामी, जहां राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा, जनजीवन और भविष्य की पीढ़ियों की कीमत पर कुछ चुनिंदा कंपनियों को मुनाफा पहुंचाने के लिए जो है सरकार खुले तौर पर जनता की संपत्ति को निजी तिजोरियों में डाल रही है और इस सदन से केवल मोहर लगवाना चाहती है। तो सवाल यह नहीं कि सरकार यह क्यों ऐसा कर रही है, सवाल यह है कि अब देश की सुरक्षा भी जो है कि प्राइवेट लोगों के लाभ के लिए गिरवी रख दी जाएगी। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, मैं जो अधिनियम आया है उसके धारा 3 और 7 की तरफ ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं कि धारा 3 के अंतर्गत निजी कंपनियों को ऊर्जा संयंत्र का निर्माण, स्वामित्व और संचालन करने की अनुमति दी गई है और धारा 7 के माध्यम से लाइसेंस की शर्तें, अवधि और संशोधन का पूरा अधिकार केंद्र सरकार को सौंप दिया गया है। यह व्यवस्था परमाणु क्षेत्र में नीतिगत निर्णय से हटाकर प्रशासनिक विवेक के अधीन कर दिया गया है और इतना संवेदनशील क्षेत्र किसी भी स्थिति में लाइसेंस राज और नोटिफिकेशन राज से संचालित नहीं किया जा सकता। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, हम आपका ध्यान अधिनियम के धारा 9 की तरफ ले जाना चाहता हूं। धारा 9 में अनुसंधान, विकास, नवाचार और लाइसेंस की छूट दी गई है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि जब परमाणु पदार्थ और विकिरण शामिल हो तो छूट शब्द का प्रयोग ही खतरनाक है। यह प्रावधान भविष्य में निजी संस्थाओं को नियामक निगरानी से बाहर प्रयोग करने का रास्ता खोल सकता है। अध्यक्ष जी, धारा 11 से 16 तक धारा 13 में ऑपरेटर की देनदारी सीमित कर दी गई है और धारा 14 स्पष्ट करती है कि सीमा से अधिक नुकसान की जिम्मेदारी होने पर केंद्र सरकार इसे उठाएगी। जैसे दुर्घटना निजी संयंत्र में हो, निर्णय निजी संपत्ति का कंपनी का हो, लेकिन भुगतान राज्य और देश की जनता करे, यह इसे रोका जाना चाहिए। न तो यह नैतिक है न ही न्याय संगत है। हम आपका ध्यान जो है धारा 17 से 27 की तरफ ले जाना चाहता हूं, जिसमें परमाणु ऊर्जा नियामक बोर्ड की नियुक्ति, विस्तार, हटाने का अधिकार सब कुछ कार्यपालिका के अधीन है और धारा 25 के तहत सरकार कुछ भी गतिविधियों को नियामक के दायरे से बाहर कर सकती है। जबकि नियामक ही स्वतंत्र नहीं होगा तो सुरक्षा केवल कागजी बन के रह जाएगी। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, धारा 28 से 31 के बीच में जांच, तलाशी, कार्रवाई की शक्तियां मुख्यतः केंद्र सरकार और उसके अधीन संस्थाओं को दी गई है। राज्यों और स्थानीय प्रशासन और स्वतंत्र विशेषज्ञों का कोई स्पष्ट भूमिका नहीं है, जो संघीय ढांचे के विपरीत है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अध्याय 5 के धारा 32 से 46 के बीच में जो नीति निर्धारण, अधिग्रहण, अनुबंध के अन्वेषण, छूट और आपात शक्तियां, ये सब कुछ सौंप देती है और वह भी पर्याप्त संसदीय नियंत्रण के बिना परमाणु शक्ति पर ऐसा केंद्रीकरण लोकतंत्र के लिए जोखिम है। अतः हम आपसे अनुरोध करते हैं अंत में कि परमाणु ऊर्जा का विस्तार आवश्यक हो सकता है, लेकिन निजीकरण बिना कठोर जवाबदेही के अस्वीकार है और कार्यपालिका का अत्यधिक नियंत्रण संवैधानिक संतुलन को कमजोर करता है और परमाणु सुरक्षा को बाजार तर्कों पर नहीं छोड़ा जा सकता। मैं सरकार से आग्रह करता हूं कि इस विधेयक को संयुक्त संसदीय समिति को भेजा जाए और बिना व्यापक चर्चा के इसे पारित न किया जाए। आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
श्री आर सचिदानाथम जी, आर सचिदानाथम।
I rise to speak on the Shanti Bill 2025. The very name, Shanti meaning peace, immediately reminds us the irony embedded in this legislation. Much like Operation Smiling Buddha, this bill carries a name that suggests peace, while in reality it represents the absence of it. In fact, the name appears to symbolize not peace for the people, but the government's deep and continuing love for privatization. Honorable Speaker, sir, after repealing the Atomic Energy Act 1948, the Atomic Energy Act 1962 was enacted. Subsequently, this act was amended 3 times in a progressive manner. Each of these amendments gradually broadened the scope of the nuclear power generation, which was originally confined strictly to the central government. However, even with these amendments, the core principle remained intact, that atomic energy must be used solely for the welfare of the people of India. The atomic energy clearly ensures the nuclear power is the strategic national resource meant to serve people interest, national security, the people's welfare. Unfortunately, the proposed Shanti Bill 2025 departs fundamentally from this principle. This bill discloses the dangerous shift where atomic energy is no longer centered on public welfare, but it is being redirected towards corporate welfare, that is especially for Modi's best friend Adani. Honorable Speaker, sir, what is most alarming is that the sector, which was so far remained under 100% control of the central government, is now being systematically opened up to complete private domination. Commissioning of the first prototype fast breeder reactor at Kalpakkam by 2026 marks a major milestone in our 3-stage nuclear program. It proves that the public sector institutions like Bhavini and NPCIL are fully capable of expanding nuclear power safely and indigenously. Kalpakkam stands as a symbol of India's scientific self-reliance, where indigenous design, fuel fabrication and reactor technology have been achieved without dependence on the foreign or private players. This success strengthens our strategic autonomy and showcases the strength of public sector research and manufacturing. Today, India's nuclear capacity is steadily growing from 8.18 gigawatt to projected 55 gigawatt and ultimately 100 gigawatt, entirely through public investment and strictly regulatory oversight by the AERB. In this context, the Shanti Bill and the move to privatize nuclear power is unnecessary and dangerous. Nuclear energy involves high-risk technologies like fast breeder reactors and radioactive waste management, which cannot be driven by profit motives. This is not merely a policy change, it is a profound shift in the philosophy of the governance. Atomic energy is not an ordinary commercial commodity. It concerns national safety, environmental security, and the future of our people. Handing it over to private corporate interests raises serious questions about accountability, safety, and sovereignty. Through you, sir, I seek clarify from government of several serious concerns regarding the entry of the private sector into nuclear power generation. Who will supply the nuclear fuel to private nuclear power plants? Will it be imported by private entities or supplied by the government? How will spent fuel be stored, monitored and controlled? What mechanism will ensure the long-term safety and security of spent fuel? Who is bear the responsibility, sir? One minute, sir. Who will bear the responsible for the decommissioning the nuclear fuel plants after completion of the 40-year life cycle?
In the unfortunate event of the nuclear accident, who will bear the nuclear liability and compensate the affected public? Honorable Speaker, sir, I wish to draw the attention of the House to reports published in the New York Times regarding the nuclear device that was installed in the Nanda Devi region of Himalayas and subsequently went missing. It was reported that the device contained nearly 1/3 of the plutonium used in the Nagasaki atomic attack. Even today, local leaders and communities fear that the plutonium from the last device may have entered a glacier, posing a serious threat to the people living downstream. Sir, even in the case of, just 1 minute, sir, case of the government-owned nuclear device, no authority has taken responsibility to this day. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, sir, I strongly urge the House to carefully examine the true intent of the consequences of the Shanti Bill 2025 and to ensure that atomic energy remains a public asset used strictly for the welfare of the people of India and not for the profit of the few corporates like Adani. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Sahib, for giving me this opportunity. This historic, sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India Bill 2025, Shanti Bill, otherwise 2025. Manya Pradhan Mantri, I support the bill under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. The entire world, the leader of this world, is trying to make India in 2047 a Viksit India. For that, this nuclear energy bill, it is commendable and is acceptable in all sphere. The Atomic Energy Act 1962 was enacted after repealing the Atomic Energy Act 1948. After so many permutation, combination and rectification, the nuclear power production originally confined to the central government, to the government companies and joint venture companies. But now, with a strong research and development support since inception of the nuclear power program, India could achieve self-reliance in nuclear fuel cycle technology and has been carrying out the nuclear power program in the responsible manner. With adequate experience now in place, it is time to ripen augment its nuclear installed capacity to newer clean energy security and reliable round-the-clock power for national data center and future-ready. As Modi ji is trying, Bharat is trying to new India, new Bharat. So this is requirement of 100 gigawatt of nuclear power in 2047. The data centers, quantum computing is coming. Now it is 8 gigawatt only. So now this is a quantum job in electricity generation. So India has set up an ambitious plan to achieve the energy independence with a roadmap of decarbonization by 2070. So in this view, reasons mentioned, it is necessary to enact the new comprehensive legislation, namely the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Bill 2025 and to repeal the Atomic Energy Act 1962 and the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. So the new legislation is aligned to achieve the objective of increasing share of nuclear energy in the total energy mix of India, facilitating innovation in nuclear science technology, expanded in the application for non-power application, and continue to honor India's obligation towards safety, security, safeguards and total nuclear ability. So future of India is going to depend upon this. So basic purpose and points of this bill are that to provide, authenticate the persons specified in clause 3 of the bill for production of the nuclear energy and providing for the suspension and cancellation of such license and safety authorization in certain situations. To provide for regulation of application for nuclear and radiation technology in healthcare, basically healthcare, food and agriculture, industry, research and other non-power uses. So the future is AI, the future is EV and semiconductor. So this will definitely help this new Bharat. To exempt research, development and innovation action from licenses, to provide for a pragmatic civil liability regime for nuclear damage, to confer statutory status to the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, which is reorganized, to strengthen the implementation of security, safeguards the provide policy framework and quality assurance or smooth coordination of emergency preparedness and response. So the bill has permits the Department of Government of India and company, joint venture, etc. to set up facilitation to undertake the activities specially in clause only under a license, a safety authentication. It further empowers the central government to reserve certain activities sensitive in nature under the exclusive control, because only government cannot do it, as 100 gigawatt of power is required. In government sector, you can go up to 50, as scientists have told. The next 50, it can by private sector handshaking. So the bill enables the Board of Regulating Manufacture, Use, Export, Import, Transport, Transfer, etc. of any radioactive substances and radiation generation equipment. The bill also empowers the central government to undertake exploration activities in uranium and other. As I have talked that you can have a with private partnership or other, the exploration can be taken in ocean and other areas also. India can be self-sustained in international market. So bill provides making up application and also provides a grant of license and safety authorization by the central government and board, subject to terms and conditions laid down in the rules and regulations respectively. It further empowers the central government and board to refuse the grant of license. So it has a control over anyone taking the license. It can refuse, it can deny or also cancel it. It bills provides the grounds of suspension, modification, curtailment and duration of cancellation of license and safety authorization, and the actions of central government or board may take precedent to such suspension. So the bill also pursues to carry out research development. As research development is a high-end topic, so handshaking with the private agency and other agency, research development takes a major role. So design and innovation of matter relating to nuclear energy and radiation for the peaceful use. And the bill provides duties of persons granted license fee and other things. And the bill also able to nuclear damage caused by nuclear incidents. So any damage in nuclear incident also it takes care occurring in nuclear installation as well as the nuclear installation occurring outside the nuclear installation involving nuclear material in the cost of carriage and before and after another operator has assumed the liability. So bill has various other activities also. The bill provides the circumstances under the operator shall not be able for nuclear damage, including where the nuclear damage is caused by nuclear incident.
Engineer,
if there is a natural disaster on any war,
between him and chair you should not cross.
Okay.
In future.
Any nuclear disaster or civil war, so it will not
Thank
take
you,
care.
Veraji. Kindly conclude.
Only
Kindly
one minute. The bill imposes obligation on the operator to take out before beginning the operation of nuclear installation insurance policy and any such thing. So central government has control over this, any private agency, and I hope this bill will definitely create a new revolution in atomic energy sector. And for that, I demand also in my area, my Jashpur constituency, it is still capital of India. It is mines and other lots of energy is required. If a nuclear energy station can put in my constituency, I will welcome it. Thank you. Jai Jagannath.
Sri Y.S. Avinash Reddy ji.
Very good.
So thank you for this opportunity, sir. Sir, before talking about the sustainable harnessing and advancement of nuclear energy bill, I would like to go one step back, sir. Sir, uranium is the primary fuel for nuclear energy, sir. My parliamentary constituency, Kadapa, has one of the highest uranium reserves in the country. Sir, Uranium Corporation of India Limited, UCIL, is running mining and processing plant at Tummalapalli village in my constituency from the last 18 years. Keeping in view of the national interest, our people from 6 villages have given their valuable lands to UCIL in spite of the knowledge of severe radiation risks because of uranium. Sir, yet the UCIL does not have any respect towards people, sir. They does not have any compassion towards their grievances. I have represented Honorable Minister also several times, sir, regarding hazardous chemical wastes at Tailing Pond, the need to shift Kotala village by providing R&R package. Yet no action is taken so far, sir. Sir, land acquisition issues and land loser quota jobs are still pending, sir. I request the government to create confidence and be liberal in addressing the grievances of our people, as they have sacrificed lands for a national cause and consented for uranium mining in spite of so many health risks, sir. Sir, coming to the merits of the proposed bill, sir, this bill provides long overdue regulatory clarity and institutional strengthening. Sir, by granting statutory backing and enhanced powers to AERB, the bill addresses a long-standing concern regarding the adequacy and independence of nuclear safety regulation in India. A clear licensing and safety authorization framework coupled with defined inspection and enforcement powers ensures that the expansion of nuclear energy is accompanied by robust safety and accountability mechanisms, sir. Sir, this bill promotes research, innovation and non-power applications of nuclear technology. Sir, coming to the risks, this bill has environmental and long-term risks for future generations, sir. Sir, while the bill talks about safety and waste management, it does not clearly mention how radioactive waste will be safely stored and monitored over long term. Nuclear waste remains dangerous for decades, even centuries, but the law does not clearly fix responsibility for environmental cleanup once plant stops functioning. Sir, there are no clear legal duties on who will pay for and manage long-term waste storage and land restoration. Because of this, there is real concern that the cost and risk of nuclear waste management may be pushed on to the future governments and future generations. Such long-lasting environmental risk require clearer legal safeguard and stronger accountability, sir. Sir, in this bill, there is a gap in emergency preparedness at the local level, sir. Sir, the bill gives strong emergency powers to the central government, but it says very little about preparing people on the ground to handle a nuclear emergency, sir. Sir, district administrations, local hospitals, disaster response teams and nearby communities are the first to face the impact of any accident. However, the bill does not clearly talk about training, medical preparedness, emergency drills or public awareness programs in areas around nuclear plants. Sir, without strong local capacity and planning, central control alone may not be enough during a crisis, sir. This gap raises concern about whether our emergency response system is truly ready to protect lives of the citizens, sir. Okay. Sir, with these comments and with these suggestions, I support this bill, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. माननीय सदस्य श्री सुधाकर सिंह जी.
सभापति महोदय, भारत के रूपांतरण हेतु परमाणु ऊर्जा का संधारणीय दोहन और अभिवर्धन विधेयक 2025 अधिनियम पर विशेष चिंता व्यक्त करने के लिए यहाँ खड़ा हुआ हूँ, जहाँ पर परमाणु ऊर्जा अधिनियम 2062, 1986, 1987 तथा वर्ष 2015 में संशोधनों का निरसन के साथ वर्ष 2010 में व्यापक चर्चा और सहमति के आधार पर परमाणुीय क्षति के लिए, परमाणुीय नुकसान के लिए सिविल दायित्व और त्रुटि रहित दायित्व व्यवस्था के माध्यम से किसी परमाणुीय घटना के पीड़ितों को शीघ्र प्रतिकर के संदाय का उपबंध के लिए अधिनियमित किया गया था, उसका भी आज यहाँ निरसन होने की बात है। मैं बात करना चाहता हूँ कि हरित ऊर्जा को लेकर के भी दो राय इस मामले में है कि यूरोप के कई विकसित देश परमाणु ऊर्जा से किनारा कर रहे हैं। खासतौर से जर्मनी अपने सभी पुराने परमाणु घरों को बंद कर दिया गया और वो एक वैकल्पिक हरित ऊर्जा की तरफ बढ़ना चाहते हैं। मैं विरोध में इस बात को नहीं कहना चाहता हूं, लेकिन ये जो दो राय है उसको सदन के सामने में रखना चाहता था। तो तीसरी बात एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि इस देश में जो संशोधन है, मैं कोई निजी क्षेत्र का विरोधी नहीं हूं, लेकिन क्रिटिकल एरिया में परमाणु बिजली घर के क्षेत्र में निजी क्षेत्र खोलने का क्या औचित्य है? क्या देश की सरकार यह मानती है कि हमारे पास पैसे का घोर अभाव है, हम बिजली घर नहीं लगा सकते, या टेक्नोलॉजी को लेकर के इनके भीतर की टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे पास नहीं है। इसलिए मैं इस बात को चर्चा करना चाहता हूं कि एनटीपीसी इस देश में 54,000 मेगावाट बिजली कोयला के माध्यम से पैदा करने के लिए सरकार के पास पैसे हैं, तो आखिर परमाणु बिजली पैदा करने के लिए जो पहले से 8880 मेगावाट जो जनरेट हो रहा है, क्यों नहीं भारत सरकार उनका बजट बढ़ाने का काम किया और सरकारी क्षेत्र में बिजली घर लगाने का काम किया। बिहार में प्रस्तावित रजौली परमाणु बिजली घर पिछले 20 साल से 2 दशक से आज तक उस पर एक ईंट नहीं रखा गया। ये प्रस्तावित, क्या सरकार को कौन चीज़ ऐसा रोक रहा था इस काम को करने के लिए? जब 8 से 9,000 मेगावाट बिजली पैदा करने के लिए जब देश का कानून आपको रोक नहीं रहा था, तो फिर रजौली में बिजली घर लगाने से कैसे रुका? अगर पैसे का अभाव था तो इस देश में कोयला आधारित बिजली घर और पन बिजली घर कैसे लग रहे थे? एक कंट्राडिक्टरी यह एक स्टेटमेंट सरकार के द्वारा दिया गया इस विधेयक को के औचित्य पर, वो हम लोग के समझ के परे है। इसलिए मैं कहा कि इसका विरोध इसलिए भी नहीं है क्योंकि बिजली, परमाणु बिजली अगर पैदा ही करना है तो सरकार के नियंत्रण में क्यों नहीं बिजली पैदा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि यहाँ ड्यूडल टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल होता है, जहाँ परमाणु बिजली पैदा करने में जो संबंधित जो यूरेनियम है, अगर निजी क्षेत्रों के जरिए कहीं से लीक हो गया, जो अभी भी हो रहा है, कई जगह पे बिहार में यूरेनियम पकड़े गए, देश के कई हिस्से में यूरेनियम पकड़े गए, जबकि ये टोटली गवर्नमेंट के कंट्रोल में है। जिस दिन निजी क्षेत्रों में चला जाएगा, ये सुरक्षा टूट जाने का खतरा। 1 मिनट सर दिया जाए, बिहार का सवाल है। मैं एक और बात कहना चाहता हूँ कि इस हरित ऊर्जा से देश के किसानों की भी चर्चा है, इसलिए मैंने बोला हरित ऊर्जा से जो पैदा होगा तो हरित ऊर्जा में हमको अभी केवल और केवल दिया जा रहा है सौर ऊर्जा, जो 8 घंटे हमको बिजली किसानों को मिलती है। बिजली विभाग ने अलग से फीडर बना दिया गांव के किसानों को कि 8 घंटा से ज़्यादा बिजली नहीं देंगे। क्या सरकार इसमें यह बात रिजर्व करेगी कि परमाणु बिजली से पैदा होने वाला 24 घंटा बिजली किसानों के लिए भी 24 घंटा उपलब्ध हो रहेगा? इसके लिए भी इसमें प्रावधान अगर करेगी तो बहुत अच्छा होता। इसके अलावा जो सबसे बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि धारा 12 उपधारा 2, जहां किसी भी व्यक्ति की लापरवाही और स्वयं की भूल चूक के कारण कोई नाभिकीय नुकसान होता है तो प्रचालक ऐसे व्यक्ति के लिए उत्तरदायी नहीं होगा। ये बहुत ही चिंतनीय विषय है कि कोई दुर्घटना हो जाएगा वो मानवीय चूक से, तो उसके आधार पे कंपनसेशन नहीं मिलेगा। ये बहुत अच्छी बात तो नहीं कह सकते।
समाप्त कीजिए प्लीज।
एक मिनट सर। धारा 13(3) भारत सरकार अतिरिक्त पूर्ति करेगी, जबकि यह इसका मुनाफा निजी क्षेत्र को जाएगा। तो क्यों नहीं यह प्रतिपूर्ति केवल निजी क्षेत्र करेगा, सरकार क्यों करे? क्योंकि मुनाफा तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को जाना है। इसमें विदेशी आपूर्तिकर्ताओं को नाभिकीय चूक पर कोई भी जुर्माना नहीं देना होगा, छूट दे दिया गया जो 2010 के कानून में था।
धन्यवाद जी, धन्यवाद। श्री संदन चौहान जी।
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। आज सबसे पहले परमाणु ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में अपना जीवन लगाने वाले होमी बाबा जी को याद करते हुए द सस्टेनेबल हार्नेसिंग एंड एडवांसमेंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी फॉर ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग इंडियन बिल 2025 शांति के बारे में आपने बोलने का समय दिया। मैं इसके लिए आपका धन्यवाद, आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। मान्यवर, 2014 में भारत की परमाणु ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में 4.4 गीगावाट जो है कैपेसिटी थी। आज हम 8.8 में हैं 2025 के अंदर, और 2047 का विकसित भारत का संकल्प आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का जो है उसे पूरा करने के लिए 100 गीगावाट की आवश्यकता है परमाणु ऊर्जा की। इन ज़रूरतों को देखते हुए जहां थोरियम का बड़ा संग्रह भारत के क्षेत्र में है और पाया जाता है, वहीं इसे भारत के लोगों के कल्याण तथा अन्य शांतिपूर्ण प्रयोजन के लिए परमाणु ऊर्जा के विकास, नियंत्रण और उपयोग हेतु एक विधिक ढांचा प्रदान किया जा सके। इस बिल के आने के पश्चात परमाणु ऊर्जा अधिनियम 1962, 1986, 87 और 2015 में जो संशोधन किए गए, कहीं ना कहीं उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए मजबूती प्रदान करने का काम होगा। वर्ष 2010 में CLNDA जो सिविल लाइबिलिटी फॉर न्यूक्लियर डैमेज एक्ट है, उसके अंदर जो बदलाव किए गए, कहीं ना कहीं उन सभी चीज़ों को ध्यान में रखते हुए परमाणु घटना के पीड़ितों को शीघ्र प्रतिकर एवं उपलब्ध कराया जाए, ये अधिनियम में किया गया है। मान्यवर, वर्तमान विश्व परिस्थितियों को देखते हुए और भारत जैसी बड़ी आबादी जिसकी ज़रूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए लोकहित के अंदर ये बिल अति आवश्यक है। भारत पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी का संग्रह, परमाणु ऊर्जा कार्यक्रम का संचालन, हमारे पास परमाणु अनुभव उपलब्ध है। यह समय भविष्य को तैयार करने के लिए और नए प्रयोगों हेतु विश्वसनीय 24 घंटे विद्युत आपूर्ति क्षेत्र में परमाणु क्षमता को स्थापित करने और SMR जो हमारा जो है SMR स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर्स के अनुसंधान के विकास हेतु, क्योंकि लगातार सरकार और आदरणीय हमारे मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, उनका विजन इसमें ही दिखाई पड़ता है कि 2025-26 में 20,000 करोड़ का जो है निवेश किया गया था रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के लिए। 2033 तक कम से कम 5 स्वदेशी जो है डिज़ाइन के हमारे SMR जो है हम डेवलप कर लें, इसकी अति आवश्यकता है। मान्यवर, भारत 2070 तक डीकार्बनाइजेशन क्षेत्र में एक बड़ा लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। इसको पूर्ण करने में कहीं ना कहीं ये हमारा बिल मददगार साबित होगा। जीवांश ईंधनों पर निर्भरता कम करने, रणनीतिक ऊर्जा एवं इलेक्ट्रिक वाहन को अपनाते हुए ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन प्रोडक्शन हेतु 2040 तक दोगुनी होगी, जो पर्यावरण के लिए बेहतर होगा। मान्यवर, AI एक सुझाव आदरणीय पूरे सदन के सामने है। AI और न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी दोनों म्यूचुअल बेनिफिशियरी हैं और एक दूसरे से रिश्ता रखते हैं। जहां AI सेफ्टी और एफिशिएंसी न्यूक्लियर ऑपरेशंस में इंप्रूव करने का काम करेगी, वहीं AI की बढ़ती मांग को न्यूक्लियर पावर लो कार्बन ऊर्जा का स्रोत है। AI न्यूक्लियर लाइफ साइकिल को डिजाइन से लेकर डीकमीशनिंग तक मदद करने का काम करेगा। एनहांस सेफ्टी और मॉनिटरिंग, न्यूक्लियर ऑपरेशन एफिशिएंसी, मेंटेनेंस, रिएक्टर डिजाइन एंड फुल मैनेजमेंट, चाहे रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के क्षेत्र में हो, चाहे सिक्योरिटी और सेफ गार्ड के क्षेत्र में हो, हमेशा इसमें AI की मदद ली जा सकती है।
आप समाप्त कीजिए प्लीज।
अच्छा मान्यवर, एक मिनट के अंदर खत्म कर। मान्यवर, यह बिल सुरक्षा का भी सुनिश्चित करने की गारंटी देता है, वहीं ऑपरेटर और आपूर्तिकर्ताओं की जिम्मेदारियों को स्पष्ट में विभाजन करने का काम करता है। अनिवार्य बीमा के साथ साथ विनाशकारी घटनाओं के लिए सरकारी समर्थन सुनिश्चित करने का काम करता है। कन्वेक्शन और सप्लीमेंट्री कंपनसेशन के साथ साथ डाटा सेंटर्स के लिए हमारा बड़ा संरक्षण हो, उसके लिए भी यह अति आवश्यक है और न्यूक्लियर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए बहुत आवश्यक है।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
मान्यवर, 20 सेकंड में खत्म कर रहा हूं। अंत में मैं इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा, भारत को बेहतर भविष्य के लिए ये बिल पक्ष विपक्ष को साथ मिलकर इसका समर्थन करना चाहिए और यह बिल जहां शांति का रास्ता दिखाता है, वहीं शक्ति का अभ्यास करना सिखाता है। आपने बोलने का मौका दिया, मैं इसके लिए धन्यवाद और आभार व्यक्त।
धन्यवाद। श्रीरामा प्रसाद जी।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, भारत के रूपांतरण के लिए नाभिकीय ऊर्जा का संधारणीय दोहन और अभिवर्धन विधेयक 2025 जन विरोधी है, पर्यावरण विरोधी है, सुरक्षा विरोधी है। विदेशी देशी कॉरपोरेट घरानों को निजी फायदा पहुंचाने के मकसद से लाए गए इस विधेयक का मैं विरोध करता हूं। इतने महत्वपूर्ण और गंभीर विधेयक पर चर्चा हो रही है महोदय, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को ऐसे अवसर पर जरूर सदन के अंदर रहना चाहिए था। सभापति महोदय, हम आपके माध्यम से सरकार से पूछना चाहते हैं कि क्या सरकार देश के सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के उपक्रमों का संचालन, सुरक्षा देने और विकसित करने में सक्षम नहीं है, जो एक एक करके देसी विदेशी कॉरपोरेट घरानों के हवाले इन्हें करते जा रहे हैं। क्या हमारे देश की ऊर्जा ज़रूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए हमारे देश में आविष्कार करने वाले सक्षम वैज्ञानिक, इंजीनियर और धन की कमी है? क्या देसी विदेशी कंपनियों से राय करके उनके निजी फायदे के लिए ये विधेयक लाए जाते हैं? क्योंकि किसानों के तथाकथित फायदे के लिए बनाए गए 3 कृषि कानूनों के समय भी यह दिखाई पड़ा कि सदन में विधेयक आने और कृषि कानून बनने के पहले ही अडानी अंबानी के बड़े बड़े गोदाम अनाज रखने के लिए देश के विभिन्न हिस्सों में बन गए थे। महोदय, परमाणु सुविधाओं का निजीकरण वर्तमान में रेडियोधर्मी और निर्धारित पदार्थों की खरीद, प्रसंस्करण, उपयोग और निपटान केंद्रीय सरकार और उसके सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र की एजेंसियों जैसे कि परमाणु ऊर्जा विभाग, DAE, NPCIL, UCIL के अन्य कठिन नियंत्रण में है। विदेशी निवेश वाले निजी कंपनियों को परमाणु ऊर्जा संयंत्रों के संचालन की अनुमति देने से यूरेनियम, प्लूटोनियम और खर्च किए गए ईंधन के प्रबंधन से देश में अकल्पनीय खतरा सुरक्षा पैदा हो सकती है। यह सामरिक संपत्ति पर राज्य के नियंत्रण को कमजोर करेगा, जो राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा के लिए खतरा है। अनुसंधान में छूट। महोदय, 1 सेकेंड। धारा 9 लाइसेंस के बिना परमाणु ऊर्जा में अनुसंधान विकास की अनुमति देती है। यह छोटी मात्रा का उल्लेख करती है, लेकिन इसका स्पष्ट माप देने में विफल रहती है। उच्च लागत के कारण केवल कुछ ही निजी कंपनियां भाग लेंगी, जिससे ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में एकल इकाई का एकाधिकार होगा और बिजली महंगी होगी।
आप समाप्त कीजिए प्लीज।
अंत में यह 2010 के देयता अधिनियम की पुरानी देयता सीमा को दोहराता है, जिसमें मुद्रास्फीति को नहीं जोड़ा गया है। क्षतिपूर्ति की राशि मिलियन है, जबकि 1989 में भोपाल गैस कांड के समय यूएस के साथ $470 मिलियन का भुगतान किया गया था। महोदय, उत्तरदायित्व तो नहीं बनाया गया है कंपनियों को, बल्कि इसका उत्तरदायित्व तो दिया गया है कि अगर कहीं कोई दुर्घटना होती है तो इसका जवाबदेह जो है परमाणु ऊर्जा का संयंत्र चलाने वाला मैंने ऑपरेटर होगा। कंपनियां इसके बाहर से बाहर है महाराज। पुनः इस विधेयक पर पुनर्विचार किया जाए। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity to speak on an important bill, that is Shanti Bill 2025. I, on behalf of my party, All India Trinamool Congress, I stand to oppose the bill because of excessive privatization of a key sector. Sir, for decades, India treated nuclear energy as a strategic public responsibility, not because of ideology, but because of scale of risk. Nuclear power is not an ordinary sector. A single failure has consequences that last for years and generations. The bill is called Shanti, but it has done nothing than wreck the mental peace of Indian citizens. Clause 3 of the bill opens Indian nuclear sector to private companies and joint ventures. According to this bill, private firms can engage in fuel cycle activities, equipment manufacturing, power generation and plant operation. The bill dismantled the principle the India stood for decades. This is not reform. This is just privatization without any accountability. The current disaster, that is the aviation sector, is an example of operation of monopoly in the skies. The government has bent rules, even suspended the flight duty time limitation rules, which are meant to ensure the safety of pilot and passengers. With this bill, there is no guarantee that rules will be conveniently bent or suspended to benefit some companies. Another problematic domain is the new bill to remove an earlier provision under right of recourse. This also has been removed in this current bill. Why? Why are you so anti-people, sir? Let me tell you. Because your foreign friends asked you to remove this. That's why. The bill limits liability of rupees 1 crore in case of severe breach. Sir, they have put an amount of 1 crore on the lives of humans. This is the true face of BJP. BJP can put a cost of 1 crore on Indian citizens. The maximum liability of the operator has been fixed at rupees 3,000 crore. Does this account for inflation, sir? Or long-term effect of nuclear accident? Almost 40 years ago, after the Chernobyl nuclear accident, studies has reported that cancer, infertility, cardiovascular accident, and so many birth defects, so many things have been happening for more due to the damage to the DNA. Please. Sir, just a minute. Sir, I want to remind this House that in 2010, under the UPA government, brought an amendment to the civil liability for nuclear damage bill. The BJP called the government a sellout. What is doing now? BJP is being a sellout, sitting on Bengal's right. You are sitting on Bengal's 2 crore dues. Sir, Banglar 2 কোটি টাকা আটকে রেখে ন্যাচারাল ডিজাস্টারের 43,500 টাকা আটকে রেখে এবং সমগ্র শিক্ষা অভিযানের 19,000 কোটি টাকা আটকে রেখে এটুকু প্রমাণ করেছে। হ্যাঁ বলছি, আটকে রেখে এটুকু বলেছে বাংলা বিরোধী এখন এই বিল এনে প্রমাণ করতে চাইছে যে তারা ভারতীয় নাগরিকের বিরোধী। তো সেই জন্য আমি স্যার, though the bill is important but I oppose the bill and I demand the bill should be sent to a standing committee. Thank you, sir.
Vamsi Gaddamji. Yes.
Sir, I thank you for this opportunity, sir. So I want to first start off by saying, very unfortunately, this bill is named Shanti Bill, sir. It's Camera.
Without camera, no talking, sir.
Sir, this
Camera, sir, camera.
Sir, this bill has been named the Shanti Bill, sir. मेरे हिसाब से ये बिल तो एक अशांति बिल होना चाहिए, sir, because the points that are raised in this bill are very dangerous to the safety of our country, sir. So I want to raise a very important point. This government is showing no accountability, no responsibility, no answers to any issue that is happening around the country, and they are ultimately facing no consequences. Why I am raising this, sir? You talk about the recent attacks on our country, be it the Delhi terror attacks. Nobody talks about this subject. We all saw Rahul Gandhi ji raise that after Operation Sindoor, what is the government going to do when there is a next attack that is going to happen on our country? Unfortunately, nobody talks about this. When we try to raise it, there is no time allocated to that. When we talk about unemployment issues, the government doesn't take any responsibility. They promised 2 crore jobs per year since the last 11 years. Nobody talks about that. You talk about Indigo crisis, there is no accountability on that. The government is encouraging private players. When Indigo makes 7,000 crores profit and Air India makes 10,000 crores losses the same years, the government doesn't talk. The rupee devaluates, the government doesn't talk. So why I'm raising all these important issues is, when this government introduces a bill like the atomic bill, removing the liability from the suppliers, who is going to be liable when an accident or an incident happens in the nuclear space, sir? So we have to understand the biggest disastrous change is the change to the civil liability law. If you are so confident that there are not going to be any accidents, there are not going to be any nuclear incidents, I've heard some of the members say that we are very safe, there's no incident going to happen, then why is this liability law being removed, is my question to the Honorable Minister through you, sir. So when we talk about France, Russia, China, South Korea, all of them are state-owned and government-owned, sir. Who will be responsible is the biggest question that comes when we talk about this bill. The government is passing this bill to put national security, national defense
in the hands of private players, sir. I want to ask, what is it that the people have given mandate for? And are the people okay when we take such draconian decisions in putting such power in the hands of few private players, sir? Sir, we all know, Honorable Member Manish Tiwari ji has rightly raised, when Adani has shown interest to enter the nuclear space, within a month, this bill is put up, sir. Is it a pure coincidence, or are we repeatedly doing the same mistakes that were done in the last 10 years? Sir, we have to learn from history. We always keep looking at the mistakes that our predecessors have done, and we have to take forward-thinking actions. We have to take decisions which impact our children of the future for the better. But unfortunately, sir, this Shanti bill is all about risk. And it's not about if it will happen, sir. It is about when it will be happening. And when such an untoward incident happens, if everything is safe, if everything is diluted, the liabilities are diluted, the nuclear danger, the nuclear incident does not care about intention, sir. It does not care if it is a private player that is owning the nuclear plant or it's a government player that is owning the nuclear plant. Radiation does not behave like a gas tragedy or a water tragedy, sir. It does not leak or does not disappear. We have to think about the children of the future. Radiation is zameen mein bas jati hai, sir. India's previous governments, previous leaders would take responsibility if there was any untoward incident, if there was loss of life to the people of our country. We have heard about resignations of ministers taking responsibility in our earlier governments. But unfortunately, today we simply divert the topic and we go on to the next one. Sir, I repeatedly want to raise that sending this bill to the private players and giving private players whole and sole responsibility would be dangerous for the people of this country. I feel this bill is against the interest of our country, the safety of our country, and the safety of the citizens of our country. Privatization of nuclear power has failed repeatedly globally, and I urge this government to rethink its decisions, to have some liability on the private players and the suppliers in order to ensure safety and the security of our country. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Very good. माननीय सदस्य श्री अनूप धोत्रे जी.
Thank you, Speaker sir, for allowing me to speak on this important bill, the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Bill 2025, known as the Shakti Bill. Honorable Speaker sir, it is our Prime Minister's target to achieve 100 gigawatt of nuclear power capacity by the year 2047. It has been observed in cities like Delhi, located near thermal power plant, experience nearly 30 to 40% of the total pollution due to emissions from coal-based thermal power plants. Additionally, coal transportation to thermal power station is predominantly carried out through Indian Railways, accounting nearly 49% of the total freight movement. This heavy reliance on coal freight occupies a substantial portion of Indian railway capacity, leading to constraints on passenger train services and the movement of other essential goods. Sir, nuclear power today is no longer merely a source of electricity, it is a strategic national asset. During 2024-25, India generated 56.68 billion units of nuclear electricity, thereby preventing an emission of 56.68 million tons of carbon dioxide in a single year, which was one of the lowest life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. Nuclear energy strongly supports India's commitment in achieving net zero emissions by 2070. Nuclear reactor produce hydrogen by using methods such as electrolysis and advanced thermochemical cycles or hybrid methods. Hydrogen is fuel of automobile industry with zero emissions. Sir, nuclear power also is cost effective and commercially viable. Some of the cheapest electricity in India today is generated by nuclear power plants. The Tarapur Atomic Power Station Unit 1 and 2 generate electricity at less than 1 rupee, which is highly competitive. Moreover,
our nuclear power operator, NPCIL is AAA rated company, consistently earns commercial profit, clearly dispelling the notion that nuclear power in India is not an economically viable option. However, the cost of establishing a nuclear power plant in India is approximately 20 crores per megawatt. Therefore, private sector participation is very essential. Sir, the bill replaces outdated legislation with a single, comprehensive and future-ready framework. It strengthens significantly our regulatory oversight, rationalizes civil liability provisions, enable responsible participation with fully safeguarding national interests. It establishes a strengthened Atomic Energy Regulatory Board which clearly defines power for licensing, safety authorization, inspection, enforcement, emergency response and public outreach, thereby ensuring transparency and enhancing public confidence. Sir, the BARC has developed TAG24 which stands for Trombe Akola Groundnut 24, a popular and high-yielding groundnut variety through mutation and recombination breeding at its Trombe facilities. This variety was developed by crossing mutant derived from Spanish improved groundnut variety and was achieved in collaboration with Dr. Panjabrao Deshmukh Krishi Vidyapith PDKV, the Agriculture University serving my constituency Akola. This was a successful collaboration and stands a fine example how nuclear science and agriculture research can directly benefit farmers at grassroots level. Sir, I would like to also draw your attention Baba Atomic Research Center in field of agriculture applications. BARC has developed irradiation technology that significantly enhances the shelf life of agronomical as well as horticultural crops through controlled use of radioactive sources such as cobalt-60. This technology helps reduce post-harvest losses, improves food security and increases farmers' income. I therefore request necessary enabling provisions and supportive amendments to be incorporated in the bill to promote wider application of such nuclear and radiation-based technologies in agriculture, which would be of immense benefit to the farmers. In conclusion, sir, I support this bill. This landmark legislation strengthens India's energy security, accelerates climate action, promotes technological leadership, ensures public safety. I strongly support this bill and urge the August House to do the same in larger national interest. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. माननीय सदस्य हनुमान बेनीवाल जी, ये न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी पर बोल रहा है जी, हनुमान जी।
सर,
न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी बिल है।
हाँ, उसी पर बोल रहा हूँ सर। आप देखिए, मैं बहुत ढंग से बात करता हूँ मेरी सर।
सभापति जी बहुत विद्वान आदमी हैं, आप समझ रहे हैं कि नहीं बोलेंगे न्यूक्लियर पे।
सभापति महोदय,
सपोर्ट करने हैं।
सभापति महोदय, सबसे पहले तो आपने मुझे भारत के रूपांतरण के लिए नाभिकीय ऊर्जा का संधारणीय दोहन और अभिवर्धन विधेयक 2025 चर्चा में भाग लेने का अवसर दिया, इसके लिए धन्यवाद। सभापति महोदय, विधेयक का उद्देश्य परमाणु शक्ति के लिए की व्यवहारिक नागरिक दायित्व व्यवस्था बनाना, परमाणु ऊर्जा नियामक बोर्ड को वैधानिक दर्जा प्राप्त करना है। मैं आपके माध्यम से कहना चाहता हूँ कि परमाणु ऊर्जा क्षेत्र में क्रम रूप से आप निजी क्षेत्र को प्रवेश दे रहे हैं। सभापति महोदय, सरकार ने जो विधेयक लोकसभा में पेश किया है उसकी जनता, देश की जनता को गहरी शंका और सख्त आपत्ति है, क्योंकि सरकार की मंशा के दूसरे पहलू को देखेंगे तो ये सामने आएगा कि विधेयक केवल एक तकनीकी संशोधन नहीं बल्कि ये हमारे संवैधानिक सिद्धांतों, जनता की सुरक्षा तो सरकारी जवाबदेही सिद्धांतों में जड़ से बदलाव का प्रयास है। इस विधेयक के माध्यम से सरकार परंपरागत रूप से सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के अधीन रहे नाभिकीय ऊर्जा पर निजी कंपनियों को खोलना चाह रही। परिवर्तन सिर्फ बाजार खोलने का पसंद नहीं, इसमें जोखिम की प्रवृत्ति, लाइबिलिटी, निगरानी संरचना पूरी तरह बदल जाएगी। सभापति महोदय, हमें मानते हैं कि निजीकरण की प्रक्रिया पारदर्शी, सख्त और जनता हित की शर्तों पर न हो तो भारी कीमत चुकानी पड़ सकती है। सभापति महोदय, ये विधेयक पुराने एक्ट को बदलकर नई व्यवस्था लाता है, जिसका अर्थ है कि दशकों में बने सुरक्षा मानदंड और पीड़ितों के अधिकारों के संरक्षण के लिए नियम होंगे। इसलिए मंत्री जी, आप जो जवाब देते हैं जरूर बताएं कि नागरिकों की सुरक्षा और दुर्घटना की स्थिति में मुआवजे का अधिकार कैसे सुनिश्चित रहेगा। महोदय, आपके माध्यम से मंत्री जी ये भी पूछना चाहता हूँ कि विधेयक में देयता की सीमा और ऑपरेटर उत्तरदायित्व जैसे प्रावधानों का नई तरह से निर्धारण हो रहा है। कुछ कई मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स के अनुसार ये विधेयक इसलिए भी चिंता का विषय है क्योंकि नाभिकीय दुर्घटनाएं स्थानीय नहीं बल्कि क्षेत्रीय और पीढ़ियों पर असर डालती है।
ऐसे बहुत सीमांत जोखिमों के लिए सीमित लाइबिलिटी पीड़ितों को पुनर्वास पर्यावरण सर्वनाश के समय अपर्याप्त साबित हो सकती है। नागासाकी और हिरोशिमा का उदाहरण इस बात को दर्शाता है कि इतिहास से हमें कुछ सीखने की आवश्यकता हमेशा ध्यान रखना चाहिए। इतिहास अपना आपको दोहराता है। सभापति महोदय, निजीकरण ये विधेयक नाभिकीय ऊर्जा जैसे अति संवेदनशील क्षेत्र को निजी कंपनियों के लिए खोलता है। मंत्री जी से पूछना चाहता हूँ कि क्या सरकार ये गारंटी दे सकती है कि मुनाफे की दौड़ में सुरक्षा से समझौता नहीं होगा, क्योंकि इतिहास बताता है कि जब भी उच्च जोखिम वाले क्षेत्रों में निजीकरण वाला नुकसान आम जनता ने ही उठाया। दूसरा सवाल, दुर्घटना हुई तो जिम्मेदार कौन? मैं मंत्री जी पूछना चाहता हूँ, इस बिल में लाइबिलिटी को सीमित और स्पष्ट किया जा रहा है, और लाइबिलिटी सीमित होगी तो पीड़ितों को मुआवजा कौन देगा? क्योंकि परमाणु दुर्घटना का असर केवल एक जिले एक साल तक नहीं रहता, उसका असर पीढ़ियों तक जमीन पानी और स्वास्थ्य पर पड़ता है। सभापति महोदय, मेरा आग्रह है कि जनता को इसमें अंधेरे में क्यों रखा गया? क्या कोई व्यापक लोक परामर्श हुआ? क्या कोई खुली जन सुनवाई हुई? क्या सरकार का ऐसा रवैया नीतिगत व जबरदस्ती नहीं? महोदय मंत्री जी, जब आप ये बताएं कि रेडियोधर्मी कचरे का स्थायी और सुरक्षित निपटान कहाँ और कैसे होगा, क्योंकि अगर आज इसका उत्तर नहीं है तो हम भविष्य की पीढ़ियों के लिए जरूर ये जेल छोड़ के जा रहे हैं। आपके माध्यम से सरकार को ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि विकास का मतलब ये नहीं कि सुरक्षा को कुर्बान कर दिया, जनता के अधिकारों को सीमित कर दिया जाए। मंत्री जी, लाइबिलिटी कानून को पीड़ित केंद्रित बनाया जाए, परमाणु ऊर्जा को पूरी तरह सार्वजनिक जवाबदेही के दायरे के अंदर रखा जाए। सभापति जी, ये अटल जी ने ये पोखरण के अंदर परमाणु जो परीक्षण किया था, और निश्चित रूप से उस समय बहुत बड़ा दबाव था। उससे पहले कांग्रेस सरकार के अंदर 1974 में परमाणु परीक्षण हुआ, और हिंदुस्तान ने बाहरी जितनी भी बड़ी ताकतें थी उनको दरकिनार करते उनके दबाव को परमाणु परीक्षण करके ये वर्ल्ड में संदेश दिया कि हिंदुस्तान परमाणु क्षेत्र में बड़ी ताकत बन के उभर गया। लेकिन आज अपन जो करने जा रहे हैं, ये कोई खिलौनों की दुकान नहीं खोल रहे हैं, खिलौना बना लिया कर लिया। ये हमारे पास अगर मेक इन इंडिया की अपन बात करें, जब परमाणु क्षेत्र में अपन प्राइवेट को घुसा देंगे सबको, तो अपन खुद क्या करेंगे? ये वर्ल्ड जानना चाहता है। ये मैसेज गलत वर्ल्ड के अंदर आपका जा रहा है। ये हमारी मांग है कि इसको एक बार आप पूरा सोच विचार करके और उसके बाद इसको पारित कराएं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे हैं। माननीय सदस्य श्री MP अब्दुल समद समादानी।
Sir, thank you, sir. Sir, while taking part in this very important discussion on the Shanti Bill, I am reminded of a statement made by the famous American theoretical physicist Julius Robert Oppenheimer. Sir, when Oppenheimer witnessed the birth of atomic age, he is often called as the father of atomic bomb. When he witnessed the birth of atomic age, he recalled Bhagavad Gita, and he quoted these verses of Bhagavad Gita. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yuga Paduttida Yadibha Sadrishisa Syad Bhasastasya Mahatmana, which means if the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst forth at once in the sky, that would be like the splendor of the mighty one. Unquote. Sir, it is a verse of awe, also of a warning. Warning about a power that overwhelms human control. Sir, that warning must guide this august assembly, this house, when as we debate the Shanti Bill. Sir, the very acronym Shanti invokes peace, tranquility and sustainability. But sir, it is a very unfortunate to state that the bill, though it expands nuclear power generation, it leaves behind a statutory vacuum, especially in three very important, sensitive, critical areas. I draw the attention of the Honorable Minister. First of all, the bill fails to establish a truly independent nuclear safety regulator. Sir, such a regulator has to be made answerable to the Parliament, insulated from both the executive and the nuclear establishment. But sir, unfortunately, the bill does not have such a provision. Sir, in a sector where a single failure can cause irreversible harm regulatory subordination is unacceptable. Secondly, sir, the bill ushers in private and foreign participation in one of the most strategically sensitive sectors of the Republic. Sir, the bill is indebted to privatization. And sir, handing over such a sensitive area, sensitive domain to the corporate interests. Nuclear power is not an ordinary power source. It is inseparable from national security, public safety, and intergenerational responsibility. Sir, opening this domain to the profit-seeking private sector, it is equal to opening doors to the risks of regulatory capture, dilution of accountability, and erosion of sovereign control. Sir, nuclear disasters do not respect balance sheets. Chernobyl speaks a lot. Sir, the entire regions were rendered inhabitable, generations scarred, and costs were borne out not by the corporates, but by the people and the state. Sir, private and foreign investors may exit. Affected citizens cannot. Thirdly, sir, my criticism, my opposition, my accusation to this bill is that the bill is conspicuously silent on long-term radioactive waste management and emergency preparedness.
Okay,
sir, we have, sir, 7 minutes our party. No. 2 minutes, sir, I will conclude. Sir, with more important federalism, whenever the government is coming with a new legislation, always, sir, nowadays, recently, the casualty is the most important federalistic character of the Constitution. Here also, sir, there is no mention of any sort of meaningful consultation with the states that bear the brunt of nuclear risk. Sir, federalism cannot be reduced to a procedural formality when the consequences are existential. Sir, India needs clean and reliable energy, no doubt. But sir, nuclear energy without ironclad law, democratic consent, and sovereign accountability is not Shanti. It is equal to finding and making loopholes that may lead to Ashanti. It is a gamble with the lives of the people. Sir, in the bill, in the title, it is said that it is for transforming India. I would like to get an answer from the Honorable Minister, transforming which kind of India? Whose India? And also the bill is, sir, in the introduction, it is stated for the welfare of the people. Welfare of which section of the people? I can't understand. So, sir, for these reasons, I strongly oppose this bill. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Shri Pappu Jadhav ji.
सभापति महोदय, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मेरा सीधा सरकार से है, सरकार संसाधनों के मालिक नहीं है, वो ट्रस्टी होते हैं, इस बात का ख्याल रखिए। और लोकतंत्र में सरकार ट्रस्टी होता है, दलाल नहीं हो सकता। मैं बराबर कहता हूँ और हमेशा ये शब्द हमारा रहता है कि सरकार जो इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को बढ़ावा दे रही है या टेंडरप्रेन्योरशिप को बढ़ावा दे रही है। ये अमेरिका और यूरोप आप कहीं जाइए तो सरकार किस चीज़ को बढ़ावा देती है, इसको पहले आपको समझना चाहिए। योग्यता नहीं, पहुंच देखती है यहाँ की सरकार, अनुभव नहीं, सत्ता से नज़दीकी देखी जाती है कि कौन सबसे ज़्यादा नज़दीक है। मैं इसीलिए यह बात कह रहा हूँ कि बार बार ये सवाल उठता है कि संसाधनों का असली मालिक भारत का हर नागरिक है, कोई कॉरपोरेट नहीं हो सकता। वही कंपनी, वही समूह, वही चेहरे। इन संसाधनों पर नियंत्रण तो यह केवल आर्थिक नहीं बल्कि नैतिक प्रश्न भी सवाल है। मैं सरकार से मेरे सीधे सवाल है, क्या सभी टेंडर में समान प्रतिस्पर्धा हुई है? क्या एमएसएमई, स्टार्टअप और क्षेत्रीय कंपनी को मौका मिला है? क्या हर सेक्टर में वही कंपनियां सबसे